Are we on? We're live. Good evening, everybody. Everybody in the chat room and to the panel. Today is the 15th of September 2017, and on the panel today we have Patricia Steere. Hello, Patricia.
Hello, Karen. Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here.
We have Martin Liedtke.
Hi, Karen. Oh, that's me. Hi, Karen. Awesome to be here. I'm having a good. I love Friday nights on the scene. It's just the best day of the week. Friday nights in Flat Earthdom, I think.
Cool. And we have Thompson from America. Martin's from Wales.
Hello, Karen. Good to be here.
Hi, Thomas.
Cool. And then we have
Hello, Patricia. How you doing?
Patricia's next to Patricia on my screen. So hello, Patricia from the UK. Where is she? Anyway, Patricia's sitting there. She was there just a minute ago. And we have Ceres. Hello, Ceres.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Yeah. Anyway, good evening to everybody. So we'll come to you in a minute, Martin. Patricia, a lot's been happening around you lately, hasn't it? With weather and...
Yeah, there was a hurricane, and then Mark Sargent was staying with me. I don't know which one caused more damage.
Oh, you look like you were having such fun. Do you know the only thing I wish for you is that when you go out and actually go out and do these things, the odd person would just run up and go, hello, Mark. Hello, Patricia.
You know, it's happened to Martin Liedtke in Wales. People have recognized him. But, you know, we're not celebrities, so the chance of anybody recognizing any of us is very small unless it's a fellow flat earther. And in a big city like Houston, pretty much impossible. But Martin in Wales has had it happen to him. Martin, a couple times, right? Yeah,
2 days ago again. It happens all the time. I'm just really weirded out about it, you know, because for such few subs, I know it's like 2,000 odd, but I'm thinking to myself, how is it possible in such a small country that so many people have either turned up at my door or pulled me in the street? It just doesn't ring true. There's something up. I don't know if the figures are played with or whatever. I had a guy turned up about a month ago, knocked my door and said, hi, I'm a fan. I don't really want them. It's a gift. Take them. Right. Okay. Fine. Thanks. Happens all the time to me. I'm not joking. I had Nick Punkit word off YouTube yesterday here in my house for the day and night. It was epic. He's a brilliant man. Absolute solid man. You should sub to him. If you don't know him, Karen, you should. He's one of the best people out there on YouTube. Yeah, he really is.
Great experiments that are really easy to understand. And he seems like such a nice, genuinely nice person. He doesn't have he's never involved in any drama. He's always friendly. He always has an upbeat attitude. His videos are interesting. He has a good sense of humor. And hey, he came and hung out with Martin, so he's got to be great.
Relax. You know, we haven't got that other side to him, Patricia. You know, he's just as exactly how you just said. He's just so down to earth, relaxing man of earth. He's, you know, not a paper man. He's solid. He's Iron Man. I really think a lot of him, you know, and his presence as well. He's got a real presence about him as well. He's quite the man. A really pleasure to have him here. He's going to come back anyway because he's here for a week or so. So that's going to be excellent.
Oh, that's good.
He's from England originally, though, not Wales, right, Martin?
Not far away from me, 11 miles from where I'm sitting now, because basically lives directly across from where the Cardiff Bay is. It's directly across the water. It's a place called Portishead, just outside Bristol. Yeah, so it's really close by. It was like 20 minutes away.
There's a band I like called Portishead.
They're from Portishead. Yeah, me too. I'm a big Portishead fan, Patricia. Big Portishead fan. Loving
you. And I like a lot of the same music, I've noticed through the years.
I'm really into my music at the moment.
You liked Scalar's song, didn't you? On his video with the 360 degree. You liked that band, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I said something with my brothers. I'm just really into my music right now. Creativeness. I'm into creative writing. I've gone into strangely that I made a quill the other day out of a feather I found. But got all the ink and started trying creative writing out of the blue. Now, where does that come from? I'm quite good at it. Looks okay too. Painting, music, and all of this is to do with the Flat Earth Awakening. It just makes you so creative, and all of us are like it. I've noticed everyone's got different niches and different little quirks and skills and talents. It's really unusual, isn't it? Yet the rest of society sat on their laurels waiting for the end. Isn't it weird?
True. And also, I think in Flat Earth, like you say, that there's so many creative people on different types, on different levels, I guess, like you were saying, some painters, some singers, etc. And in the real world, I mean, the world we all came from, it seems like most people see creative people only when they watch a movie or go see a music concert. They themselves, for the most part, are more observers of creativity as opposed to being originators.
I'm friends with 3 authors. I know personally 2 bands. One of my friends used to be in the Specials. One of Tim's band, his drummer, played with the Specials, Patricia.
Interesting.
I know I met him in Cardiff recently. And my friend Stan, who is UK Spaceman, he was the harmonica player for Bad Manners, which in the 80s was a really big band in the UK scene, the ska scene.
I saw Bad Manners. Sorry, would you say Bad Manners? Sorry,
Yeah,
I saw...
Bust the Blood Vessel.
I was pregnant with my son when I went to see them.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Who was it? Madness. I went to see Madness up the road a couple of years ago, well, a year and a half ago. They were playing at the Newbury Racecourse.
Right.
That was good. There was thousands of people there for that.
Were they all doing the dance? Yes.
Yeah, everybody was dancing away.
I witnessed 80,000 people doing that all at the same second once in Glastonbury when Madness were there in about 1985. I looked around and I was on my friend's shoulders and I looked around, there's 80,000 people doing exactly the same dance, the Madness dance. It's a funny thing to see.
I've seen the Specials and Madness. I've never seen Bad Manners. They weren't as big in the US, of course.
Yeah, they were good.
But
in the Specials concert, the first time I seen them, though, I only seen the first 5 minutes and I was kicked unconscious. I'm dragged out by my feet. So I had all like beer all down the back of me stuck to me.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. It's a long story.
Well, that one.
I had a concert story with a band I don't even like, never have liked, but I was 15 years old and all my friends were going to a concert, and I'd never been to a live concert before except with my parents, where I went to go see the Carpenters, and that wasn't a cool rock concert, but
right,
in retrospect, I'm glad I got to see the concert of the Carpenters. But
I would like to see them.
This was a band called Boston. Never liked Boston.
I love Boston more than a feeling. Oh.
But they were, they were nearby. I was living in Florida and I was 15, old enough to go out with my friends to a concert. And I remember going shopping with a girlfriend. She and I were going with our boyfriends at the time and some other people. And I bought white jeans thinking that would be appropriate to wear to like a dirty rock concert. What did I know? So I get there and we're sitting down and we're in the lower level seats. And in the middle of the concert, I felt something wet on me and wet on my jeans. Somebody had thrown up from an upper balcony on myself. So,
I caught somebody with their hand in my back pocket in the David Bowie concert. I felt it. I felt somebody touch the back of me and I thought, you dare. And I felt him dip his hand into trying to take my wallet out my back pocket. I just grabbed his hand quick, like, But I went to see the Glass Spider tour. I was disgusted. And he got slapped in the face, David Bowie, on the stage by a lady. And I thought, and it wasn't part of the act either. He went red. He messed up his lyrics. It was a big thing, this Glass Spider tour. They had Peter Frampton on guitar and all these world famous musicians as a band. But only sung 2 songs I'd ever heard. Young Americans and Fame, which was a remix. So I was waiting for Space Oddity and, all my favorites and none of it. And basically that night, and I won't tell you. I can't tell you actually.
Oh, I want to know. We all want to know now.
I can't. No.
I saw Bowie in
a typical Martin thing to do.
Oh wow! Well, that it would be a good. We do want to hear that. But I saw the Serious Moonlight tour with Bowie.
That day when I went to see David Bowie, at 11 o'clock that morning, I was watching a Who was I watching? Gil Scott Heron on the Pyramid stage in Glastonbury at 11 o'clock that same morning. In 3 hours later, at 1 o'clock, I'm in the stadium in Cardiff, which I never paid a penny for, watching David Bowie. But big country supported him first.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. In the same day. It was pretty awesome times for me back then. But still are.
Is music, you know, I mean, we're not exactly all the same age, but we're all not 19, okay? So is music today better, worse, or just different than it was when we were younger?
No, it's got no cultural references. It's all basically we can now, knowing what we know as flat earthers, know that they've used music as a basically a social engineering program, a cultural engineering program. They've just rolled out these certain type of musics, you know, to dictate the paradigms, and they do this. This is a fact. So the music now has no cultural heritage. It's meaningless, and I can't find any. I'm basically downloading some music at the moment, but it's like Depeche Mode, but they are so in the matrix. But I still love the music, and I've been like Cat Stevens' back catalogue. I got to go back in time to find before, you know, they got ate up by this monster that is the you know, the music industry, which I'm sure it uses these people in a lot of ways, and I think a lot of them, you know, maybe don't want to go with the flow and don't want to lose their stature and their fame and just forced into it and have breakdowns and all the rest. I reckon that's what happens. I don't think they automatically sell out. I watched the transition with U2 from a really gritty, brilliant U2 punk band to this, you know, Joshua Tree, biggest band in the world, filling stadiums, complete sellout, full of Illuminati symbology from the beginning, you know. But in the beginning, you've seen the transition point, you know, from the War album to Joshua Tree was bam, when they got older.
Do you think that some of this is that we're actually getting older and we're sounding like our parents now?
Yeah, we have a bit better understanding is what it is, Karen. We understand now how it works. And you know, look at the millions of people that music are influenced by. Music has changed society. You know, when Give Peace a Chance was brought out by the Beatles, the biggest, apparently, look at what that did to society. The first ever live feed by satellite, and the whole world's watching it and believing that's happening by satellite, but it's going through the transatlantic cable. But the whole world's believing it. So the music, you know, I think they don't care what you sing about, as long as you've got the, you know, in their perspective, a bit of a globe myth with it. Sing what you want, politically motivated. Look at people like Russell Brand. You can talk, say you're God, Messiah complex, and dictate revolution to the masses. You can, as long as you chuck that globe rubbish in with it. I think they don't mind as long as they permeate that. I've noticed this. I've noticed with a lot of their lyrics, they, you know, with a lot of these bands, there's always something globe orientated with their lyrics, or globe minded. Very few are away from it. You know,
but then you can find lots of songs that have actually got, like, when you actually listen to them, they're actually like almost flat Earth songs anyway.
Pink Floyd for sure.
You didn't hear it then, but you hear it now.
I just downloaded Roger Waters' new album, right? And it is heavily predictively programmed. The second track is talking about a hurricane that comes in, and then another hurricane. I'm not joking. It talks about multiple hurricanes and basically flooding the landscape as far as the eye can see. He's literally explaining what's just happened in the southern states. Yet, this was released in January. It's this predictive program, I'm telling you. They don't forecast weather anymore. They make the weather, and they can tell you what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. Definitely, no doubt about it. I wouldn't have believed this so much years ago, but now the evidence is there. That what happened the last couple of weeks changed everything. It really has. You know, with the weathers, I mean, because now, you know, can we trust the news?
Patricia,
she's fine.
Hurricanes and everything. What's your take on the hurricanes then, Patricia?
I would have just thought it was part of what usually happens when the hurricanes come up through Hurricane Alley. I've lived in Florida when I was younger, and that is an area that gets hit by hurricanes. And I've lived, you know, in Louisiana, New Orleans. I was there for the big Hurricane Katrina, and ended up moving to Texas actually because of that. And there's been hurricanes, you know, not as big as what happened recently, that have happened in Houston, Texas since I've lived here. So I just thought it was normal. But, you know, once you start doing what we've all done, looking at everything with fresh eyes and questioning everything, you realize that there are serious possibilities that they are engineering weather. But the question is why? You could say, oh, well, with Katrina in New Orleans, the rumors were that they broke the levee, so the poor black areas were flooded. But I remember very wealthy areas on St. Charles Avenue with huge multi-million-dollar homes were flooded too. So it wasn't some sort of let's get rid of people of color. So I guess that's a positive thing. And then they say, well, they're trying to hit to get rid of the Cubans in Florida by hitting Miami, or to get rid of people. They just come up with Hispanic people in Houston. I don't know. I don't see those things as being the reason, picking specific races.
I think I know what the reason is.
What do you think?
Well, they can see rain for sure, so they don't see California, and it's in severe drought. So they're trying to clear California. So what I believe is, if you look at the Agenda 21 proposal, they want megacities stretching from Chicago down as far as Philadelphia, huge megacities with 500 million people in them, and the rest of the area is to be cleared for them. There's going to be like the West Coast is not non-existent for humans. That's going to be just for them. It'll be all housed in the Chicago, New York sort of East Coast area, and that's the plan of Agenda 21. And all the other areas are going to be cleared. They're going to be made uninhabitable. And I thought when they had that chemical leak in Houston last week, I thought, oh, right, well, that's fitting exactly with it. What are they going to do? Toxify a large piece of area so no one can go back? And then they're talking about large amounts of people going missing. You know, what about 6 million displaced people? And then you get all that fog of war and kerfuffle. Nobody knows where they're going and which leisure centre to go to. People go missing. People who are off the radar, the homeless, people with drug addictions, the old, all sorts of people in society would fall through the loop there. Clearly, I can see that. What happens to them? Well, people are proposing that they've gone missing. So is there an element of something more sinister? Is it a training for something FEMA campish in the near future? See how it goes. You know, there's a lot of aspects to this, especially with where I know the place is indigenous to hurricanes, but not at that level. And they're mixing it in with fake news to petrify the population and make it look worse than it already is. You know what I mean?
Even the hurricane, since I'm here in Houston, what was on the news, because I was in Michigan when the hurricane hit Houston, so I was able to see it from the perspective of an outsider, not from being in Houston. I wasn't able to look out my front door. I had to look on the news media. Of course, I used YouTube. I didn't watch TV or anything, but it looked horrible. And then when I got here, landed, got in a taxi, went on the highway, got to my door, neighborhood was fine. Everything was fine. Didn't see all those horrible things. And I know Houston's a big place. And I know that the areas that were hit aren't near my home. But when you watch it on TV, any event, it always looks like the whole city's, being destroyed and everybody's on the streets and everyone's in peril. Yes, a large number of people are in peril, but it's not as bad as the media portrays it, because they'll just go to the worst area and stand knee deep in water when around them, if you pulled the camera back, it's dry as a bone. That's just the way that the media works. I don't know what the reason is, but you were
expecting it to be much worse when you got back then, Patricia, and it wasn't. Is that what you're saying?
I had cameras on my house inside and out, so I could see outside was fine, aside from rain falling, no flooding. And so I knew, and I was in contact with friends here and neighbors here, I knew things were okay where I was. And nobody, this is another weird thing. I've been back and the hurricane is, has been, the hurricane ended and the aftermath ended, although people are still rebuilding for quite some time, a couple of weeks now. I, in my daily doings, will go to the gym, go to the grocery store, go get coffee, the things that we do. And I ask anybody I haven't seen for a while, how'd you fare during the hurricane? It's kind of the way we greet each other now in Houston. And you know what? To a man or woman, no one has said they lost their house. Everyone has said, oh, fine, no leaks. Boy, we got lucky. And that seems to end every conversation. Yeah, we got lucky. Now, I know there is damage, but I've not seen it. Say that again?
It's a bit like that with hurricanes, isn't it? Like last weekend, we were saying prayers on our shows because we were just thinking, hurricanes, we were dreading it. And then it sort of didn't happen.
Well, yeah, luckily, I mean, there are people who've suffered. I'm not diminishing their suffering at all, but what I'm saying is I remember the Loma Prieta earthquake, and that was in San Francisco when the bridge pancaked on the other bridge. People were trapped. Big thing happened. And I was not in San Francisco at the time. I lived really far away in the Central Valley, Modesto, California at the time. And I remember the walls shaking when I came home in my apartment. All the pictures were crooked. Some things had fallen. So I knew something happened. But people, much later, as I'm in the conspiracy world we all are in, I've seen videos saying that that was a hoax, that the earthquake never happened. And so being that I saw all the pictures of my house fall and then remembered all the coverage of that on the news and seeing all the footage, if I hadn't seen the pictures fall and I was a conspiracy theorist, I could think, well, maybe that was a hoax. Just like you look around Houston and you think, hurricane, where I live anyway, what hurricane? You know, if you were if you were one of those people who thinks everything's a hoax, you could think the hurricane's a hoax. That they just set the news people out there, they set up the, a hoax event of a hurricane. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened, but how can I prove it? I've got to go to someone's house that I know isn't an actor and see the flooding. And I know it's out there. I volunteered at the convention center here several days in a row. I had a shift where I was in charge of folding the donated clothes along with other volunteers. It's a George R. Brown Convention Center downtown. I live fairly close to downtown. And it had 9,000 people approximately one of the days I was there. And then in a couple more days, 11,000 people sleeping on cots. It was basically like a big sport auditorium enclosed with just cots everywhere. American Red Cross was there. The Humane Society was there because they were accepting animals too. It was very well organized. And those people aren't crisis actors. I know the hurricane happened. Those people are without homes, or maybe they've been allowed to go back to their area now. So I know it's real. But what I'm trying to say is the media, no matter how bad it is, the media makes it like 15 times worse.
Yeah, they blow it up.
I'd like to say that Gary John joined us, but he's got a bit of an internet problem, so he's rejoining. And Mike Helmick has joined onto the panel right now.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Greetings, everyone. I sent hurricane information to Mark, Patricia. We believe that there's more involved than just lack of crisis actors.
Yeah, well, most definitely. I mean, I'm in Houston. I know it's real, but I'm just saying that somebody who wasn't here could say that, just like they say everything's a hoax, Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about the disappearing seas then, Patricia? The ones that disappeared and then took 24 to 48 hours to come back in?
Well, there is something in hurricanes, I'm no hurricane expert, where it does suck the sea out. And then when it comes, it brings it back in. If that's what you're talking about.
It's just so many seas were sort of sucked out and
everywhere.
No, it's just the one
side.
Yeah, the arm of the motion, and when it comes around, it causes it to go out, and by the time it comes back around, it sucks it back in again. So it was only on the sort of Miami side. It wasn't on the other coast.
Right. Yeah, the hurricane. I mean, I'm glad it's over. But then again, hurricane season, I mean, that's the thing. If you decide in the States anyway, if you are going to live in Florida, if you're going to live in any of these places, Mississippi, Georgia, anywhere like that. I mean, for a while, it was going to set to hit the Carolinas. Anywhere on the coast in this type of weather, this time of the year, you're going to get smacked. It's going to happen. That doesn't mean you'll lose your home or your life. It just means you're going to have to deal with it. The evacuations, the fear. It's like if you live in San Francisco, Northern California, Southern California, you have to keep in mind, although it can't really be predicted, that there could be an earthquake. It could happen. you know,
this hurricane's been no worse than the ones before. They just use this as an opportunity to, you know, make stories, get film crews out, look heroic and do stuff. It's no worse than any of the previous by the looks of it. It's just blown it out of proportion for a story. That's dangerous. That is. That's dangerous if they're going to be doing that with worldwide events and natural disasters.
I noticed
a flooded traffic light or something. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying, yeah, I've noticed they'll do something like they'll find a corner where a traffic light's at, where it's been flooded and the car's buried, and no one realizes that you're actually at the bottom of the hill, so all the water naturally, you know, and they all run down there to the bottom of this hill and say, see how it is at the bottom of this hill? The whole city's like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I put some film on my channel of like caught a bit of footage of a rescue, and you look behind and they've cut cordons off the entire area, and they got these giant floodlights, proper, you know, movie sets. They took the movie set with them, so they were prepared. So it was all staged, and the evidence is there. I put it up, like, they definitely framed some of these stuff, but I know people have suffered, but they are definitely using this. Well,
they say it's going to be a category 5. It's going to be a category 6. Like they're making categories that don't even exist. And then when it hits, it's less, thank goodness. And then when it's kind of over, they'll say things on the news like, well, it's far from over. Things are still bad, because even if things are getting better, they don't ever on the news want to say things are getting better.
It's weird. Do you know what? While it's happening, that hurricane, I'm actually talking to you on Skype, right? Worried about the hurricane over there. I got 75-mile-an-hour wind outside and the tree blew down.
You had the hurricane.
Never even made a footnote on the weather. No biggie. 75 mile an hour.
Wow. That's pretty high. Well, the winds in Houston were really, really high. I wasn't here, but I have different types of lawn furniture. But in one little area near a fire pit, I have very light plastic lawn furniture because it's totally exposed to the sun and rain. So it's not nice lawn furniture that would be rust or something. Anyway, so this lawn furniture, when I came back, was sitting in the exact same spot. Wow. I could lift it up with one hand, and I'm a small woman. I'm not strong. Exact same spot. 4 chairs, 2 side tables.
Right.
Not even moved, not knocked over. What about those high winds? I guess they missed my house and my block and my neighborhood. Thank goodness. But it does make you wonder.
No, it just wasn't that severe.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad.
Actually, like, maybe the hurricanes were actually real, but then they just were manipulating them. I mean,
they can steer them, because what I noticed is it stopped off of the coast of Cuba for a period of 24 hours, and it took a right angle. Basically, they thought it was going to go up the Miami coast, you know, Fort Lauderdale and up that coast. But never, it went into the, you know, the Gulf Coast, and it literally did a right angle like that. But it stayed for 24 hours. You can look at it for yourself and check it out. It didn't move. No, they say that don't happen. They say that thunderstorms don't happen in a hurricane. They're really rare. Yet, flashing, I witnessed it myself, thunder and lightning in hurricanes. So what's that all about? So there's a lot of anomalies with these storms.
We don't get them, do we? Well, not really. No, we do get little ones, but they're not like the ones in America. Joined us again. Say hello to Gary before he hops on and hops off. Gary.
Oi.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Gary. Nice
Wi-Fi's not great.
You.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Patricia, hi, Karen. How are everyone else?
Hello, Gary. You know everybody, don't you? Thomas, Martin, Series, Patricia, and me. And Mike's just popped off quickly. He's coming back. Gary, as you're there and you're talking, then.
Yeah, sorry, what was that last bit?
Your bit.
Move. My bit. Okay. Well, this is actually in 3 parts. Let me just move. Bear with me 2 seconds. Yeah, this is in 3 parts. First part, at long last, it looks like the website's going to go live Monday morning to people on the landing page and speakers. It's taken all this time because PayPal. It's been a lot harder than I first envisaged. Got is either write to everyone on the landing page so that they would actually get the information early, but nobody's emailed me back to confirm they've got this. So I'm not 100% that the people on the landing page that's been on there for weeks and if not months are actually going to get this. So I'm a little bit worried about that. So if anyone is actually or listening to this, if they could email me on garyjohn42@hotmail.com, I would appreciate it, because I want to actually get this in. Time pressure. I'm actually going to go live with the website to the world late in the evening. Second part is I met up with Didi Van H last weekend in Holland to go to a convention centre there, or several centres actually, to look at venues. To find a location that can give us about 700. We think we found something that really works, and we've also found a really unusual type of hotel. That
Gary,
actually,
I just thought about it. Gary, just in case people don't know who you are, will you explain to people what you're doing, just in case anybody in the chat room doesn't know who you are?
Okay, I'm basically I'm putting on a Flat Earth convention in Birmingham next April, and we obviously have several speakers attending, and that's what it is. It's next April. It's already been booked. We've actually got the website coming out on Monday, and for people who actually purchase a ticket, or unless they're speakers or on the core team, night event, and also the weekend, the end of April next year.
Yay! UK gets its first Flat Earth convention via Gary. And he's just talking about the web page being almost ready, aren't you?
Well, the actual website is ready, but what it is, to actually make it go live, I had to get 2 people to actually purchase tickets. I've actually got a Didi to actually buy one, and I'm just waiting on one other to buy a ticket. And then the web company can actually then sign over the website to me, so we can actually make the process go forward. It's a very problematical thing. I'm sure a lot easier going forward, but at this moment it's been headaches that I didn't actually anticipate. But getting back to Holland,
and now there's
about 5 or 6 locations. Yeah, in Amsterdam, we went to 5 or 6 locations last Friday and Saturday, and we luckily came across something that looks absolutely perfect for us. It's about 700 people it can accommodate, and we've got side rooms for people to mix, and also to sort out if we go for catering. But we've got a lot of work now to sort out reference website and finalise a contract with the venue, and also a hotel that I'd like to try and put together for the speakers and the core team. But Didi and I are working on that. It's probably going to take us about a month, maybe 6 weeks. Obviously, need to do is generate interest, and I mean, we've got speakers that have actually agreed, or provisionally agreed to attend. Just need to finalise things on that, and on the third point is somebody's been in touch with me, Patricia Steere, that I need to just send you a link to their website. They've been trying to contact you directly, but I've said to him that I can't vouch for him because I don't know him. I do know of him, but I don't know, his integrity, and even though he sounds okay. But if I send you the details, and it's up to you if you take it any further.
Sure. It's so, I'm so easy to contact that it would be weird if somebody wasn't able to contact me, because I'm pretty easy. Anyway, so yeah, please send that to me.
I'm not too sure. He just said that he has emailed you or messaged you, I suppose, and he's not had a reply back, but I don't quite know. I just said to him, I can't, all I can do is pass on the information, but again, I can't vouch. It's not as if I've dealt with him several times and I can say, yeah, he's fine, because I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions from
anyone?
Welcome. But is there any questions from anyone reference what I said about either the UK convention or the one in Europe?
Yeah, you just have to give it a couple of seconds for it to go through, Gary. What Gary's wondering is if anybody's got any questions for the Flat Earth Conference. You know, maybe he can answer you about how much the tickets are, anything like that. Here.
Well, okay. What's the date of the one proposed to be in Amsterdam?
Is this the one for Europe?
Yes.
Yeah, Diddy and I were having a chat earlier, and we're thinking it's going to be the first weekend of October. So it will be the 6th and 7th of October 2018. And we've kind of done that on purpose because September is really busy. The summer is not really a good idea for getting bites. And at the end of the month, I was very busy with different events happening there. So at this moment, it may end up becoming the mid-October, but what I wouldn't mind doing, Patricia, is at some point Diddy and I maybe can come on to a hot potatoes
Love it.
hangout with you if you don't mind.
Yeah, that'd be great.
AJC 1844 wants to know where to find the info, and Marilyn says if she sing, and she'll pay for the tickets, but can she sing at Birmingham and Amsterdam? Thank you, Marilyn. Anyway, so where do you want to work these?
Okay, can I just answer the thing about can she sing? I don't know. I have to put on my Simon Cowell hat and listen to her first. And
honestly, I've heard her music, a record. She's an accomplished musician, and she can really sing. I'm not joking.
Okay. If I can just remind people that on the Saturday night, I wanted to put on a very corny Flat Earth Got Talent that Martin's and
you're going to love mine.
Darren Nesbitt is going to play the guitar and sing, and there's a few other people I know, like Oliver Ludlow is going to play the guitar and doing things. And if she wants to be part of that, that'd be absolutely brilliant.
Awesome.
Marilyn. And
Yeah,
Gary,
that's a problem. I'm joking.
Is there any way you can tell them what your website's called, Gary? What the website's called for the chat room?
I got it.
It's www.
Can you type it in the chat?
Karen, I'm on my phone at this moment, and I can't actually do this at this moment. I'm sorry.
I got the link.
I can tell everyone though. It's www.convention.co.uk.
www.what? Convention?
Earth Convention UK.co.uk.
Already get that. But Gary will be back to talk about it because we're going to have a bit of a hangout when you've actually gone live with this website, aren't we, Gary?
So it's going live Monday, even though it's I've just got to it's getting it over the final hurdle it's been a nightmare. It's not been easy, but our website has worked. Diddy's bought a ticket, so that's really good. I've just now got to make the site official because PayPal only prefer to use genuine URLs, and at this moment we've been using a temporary one to use it as a beta test case. So we are. But the only reason why it's not going to be this weekend is because of the timing. But if the website people are in, but I do need people to email me if they've actually filled in the landing page, and I will be comparing their email addresses with landing page email addresses. And if they've actually emailed in the past through the landing page, I will then release the website to them Monday morning, and everyone else will get it in the evening. So everyone's got basically a 12-hour window to try and order their tickets, because if tickets sell fast, which I don't know if they will or not, then I don't want people who filled in the landing page miss out.
Cool, but we're going to have a bit of a hangout when it gets going, aren't we, Gary? When it's been going for about a week or something, come back and then
I can help with ticket sales, Gary. I got a big mouth and I'm brilliant with sales, so I can help with ticket sales. I would not worry about that too much with me around, all right? Honestly.
Everyone's asking how much per ticket, but I understand that it will depend upon what kind of ticket that you purchase. But there are a number of questions in the chat. How much ticket for UK? How much Europe? So is there any good answer for that?
Okay. Yeah, it's I can actually explain for the Friday evening, and I can obviously explain or remind people what each evening actually consists, or each day consists of. I'll just give you the prices for now. The Friday evening is £26, and that includes tea and coffee and biscuits and the evening. The Saturday and Sunday package is early bird is £97. And it'd be another 15, but that would be actually kick in on October the 15th or 16th, I think. So hopefully we'd have sold out by then. You've also got the option of a Saturday only ticket at £55 because it's a longer session than the Sunday. Sunday is £45. Aiming to put on a webinar for the weekend. I'm not doing the Friday because it's too complicated, it's too involved. What I will need to say about the webinar is that the actual cost, well, it's just under £4,000. So I can't cover that if only, say, for instance, 100 people sign up for the webinar. So if 100 people sign up, and in reality, the ticket would be more like 38, which is ridiculous, then I may have to cancel, unfortunately, that option. But if we get something like 250 people, then the costs do go up, but the actual break-even point then is going to work. So I'm really taking a punt on this, but I do need a technical team to actually be there in attendance to actually put on a comprehensive and professional webinar package. And out of interest, Patricia, do you actually know how many webinar people have signed up for the American one?
You know, I don't really know. We're not really even using the term webinar. So you mean, well, I guess it would be the live broadcast that you can watch from home, right? I don't know how many have signed up for that. Yeah. Don't know. Don't have any idea.
Okay. I did write to Robbie. About 6 weeks ago to ask that question, but I know he's been very busy, so I will write to him again. But could you also, if you're in touch with him, could you ask and maybe?
Yes. In fact,
yes, please.
I'm going to be talking with Mark Sargent and Robbie either today or tomorrow pertaining to the Flatty Awards ceremony that's happening at the American conference, and we're going to go over what the statues are going to look like, to give people. And so anyway, I'm going to be talking to Robbie in like today or tomorrow. So I will definitely ask him to talk with you and get that happening if I can be of any assistance.
That'd be great. Thank you, Patricia. Because everything I'm doing with the event, just so everyone in the chat knows, is that I'm not looking at trying to put on a profit, but what I am trying to do is at least cover costs. But within that, there's obviously has to be contingency plans. And at this moment, the actual and the cost of everything, it will be there or thereabout. Is it a break even? So when people start worrying about truth is free or making a profit, then the answer is that's not going to happen. On the webinar, then if there is a possibility that enough people sign up for it and there's a potential profit, then that will be used in one of two ways. Either to actually make sure that we actually make the event as well, as good as we can make it, or it would actually go into future events like Europe or another event in the UK. Basically, at this moment, there's 2018, and there could even be a third if obviously America do another one, which I'm sure they will. But I just want to make sure people realise that this isn't a for-profit convention. It's actually to try and cover the cost, because if it loses money, then it comes out of my pocket. So when I get attacked, which I'm sure I will, then I think people need to realise that this isn't based on profit.
I think that the attacks will come whether or not you were doing it for profit, or you were doing it and you were even contributing tons of your own money as well as your time. The attacks will come just because that's how it is. Don't let it bother you, because what you're doing is fantastic. And even if, I can't really say the American convention if it's actually for profit, because I'm not involved in that aspect of it. I am a speaker at it, not an organizer. I don't know the financial aspect. I know that none of the speakers are getting paid or having any of our accommodations paid. Maybe if they get enough tickets sold, they'll pay for I don't really know. At this point, all the speakers at the American one are paying their own way 100%. And I know it's different at the UK one, but to me, it doesn't matter personally if somebody put together a conference and they were hoping to make a profit, because even if the system we live in currently is corrupt, and we all do know that, we still live in it right now. We still have to pay for our house, our rent, our food. And there's no real shame in doing something and having profit that you can use to make a better event next year. I don't think between now and, you know, when you're holding the UK or the European conference, we're going to be able to overturn the system and get a new system in place. I just don't foresee that. I don't even know if we need to overturn the system and start from scratch. There's some good things about the system that we have now, and some really horrible things. But working within the system to better the system, I think that's okay. So.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if I can just add that, like I mentioned on Nathan Oakley's show, that even though a lot of people do advocate that truth is free, the hotel and the webinar people, and you know, the flights getting speakers over, and the cost and the delegate rate from the hotel isn't free. So, you know, I've got two choices. I either pay for it myself, which is ridiculous, or people share the load. And the way I look at it is, if people don't want to pay it, don't come. So it's as simple as that.
I can get rid of hundreds of tickets for you, and I know I can. Don't despair, leave it to me. I can, when I open my mouth and when I like sort of motivate myself, I can shit miracles, brother. I won't worry about things. If it comes to the crunch and you're just feeling a bit laggy and nothing's happened, I will get out there and make things happen, Gary. Okay, so don't worry, brother. I promise you that. Okay,
there'll be lots of interest in
there. Will be. You don't understand. I've had people talking about this for months. The excitement in the community is palpable. I wouldn't worry too much.
No, but can I say to you, I'm not worried, because I've had, of the 250 tickets that are definitely available for the weekend, I've actually had landing page requests for 250 tickets. So assuming that 2/3 of that sign up, that's about 180 tickets, and the other 70 will go very quickly. So no, I don't envisage tickets. The issue is
more Guile and Mark Sargent.
The cost.
It's a no-brainer, mate. It's a no-brainer. Everyone on this island will be just. You got queues outside, Caddy. You will.
You know, Gary, how you were saying that truth should be, that people are saying that truth should be free, and there's only one of two things that could happen, and one of those would be if you paid for it yourself, and you can't do that. You know, even if you did pay for it yourself, and I know this from personal experience, you'll get slammed for showing off, or for, you know, making it all about you or something. So.
Can I just say that I've known Gary for a while now. He's been a really great member and a good member on the panel of Sun and Moon. And Gary did this from his heart. Protective if I hear anybody saying anything about Gary.
No, I've met Gary personally myself twice, a couple of times, and I'm a brilliant gauge of people. Sorry. Go on, Gary. I couldn't hardly hear you there. You would sound like you had head in a bucket.
No, I'm here. Sorry, I'm here.
Saying to Mike, you know that Gary's doing a Flat Earth convention in the UK next year, and he's also planning to do one in Europe. So that's what Gary's talking about right now. Just putting out the dates, just trying to explain a bit, because the webpage is almost ready to go now.
That's awesome, Gary. The more we get the word out, the better, right?
That's it. Talk now, because you were muted.
Well, I'm just, you know, it's good that we're getting the word out, and we're seeing more and more of these conventions being put together by different people. So, and I know Patricia and Mark has done a lot in this area, and billboards. There's more billboards than what we know about out there too. People are really getting involved in getting this out.
I have to say, Mike, that's a cool shirt. Statue of Liberty, looks like a Harley motorcycle, Route 66 on it. Very American. That's cool.
I must have a good camera, Patricia. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's cool.
Cool. Do you want to say on the convention stuff?
Who, girl?
Gary? Where's Gary?
Again, Karen, sorry, you cutting out.
Gary. That's all right. Anything else you want to say, Gary?
Yeah, the only thing I really want to say, really, on top of what Big Shout. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry. I just want to give a because not only is she spent the whole weekend or Friday and Saturday last week in Amsterdam, she did a lot of the setting up and making all the appointments, and she's been putting in an extreme amount of effort. And without basically Diddy, the potential that we have for Europe wouldn't happen because you know, obviously being Flemish, you know, Belgium. She obviously speaks the language, and she's also got a lot of drive and energy, and I think that she's an awesome girl. And to come over to not only America, she's going to the convention there. She's also going to the one in England, and it's people like Didi that actually make all this worthwhile because they're that passionate that they just want to be involved. They want to, you know, they're going to. I mean, by the time if Europe happens, that means of the three conventions, the major conventions in the world, should have been to all three. So I just think that she's just amazing, and I just wanted to recognise that.
Oh, thank you, Gary. So that's a shout out for her then.
Yeah, she deserves it. She's worked really hard so far, and we've got a lot more work to go. And we will be going back to Holland a few times to the convention centre to fine tune, because we know it's not, for instance, to add one more bit is like, for instance, this is a type of headache we have. We have a convention that need X amount of money to put it on, and they want 80% up front. So we got to somehow find that money, or we got to negotiate, you know, how we pay that. So goes into putting on something like this is off the scale. I mean, I know to some degree what Robbie's going through and unfortunately, you know, some people understand, but a lot don't, and it's a hard job, but at the same time, you just got to have a thick skin and just.
So the conference, or excuse me, convention that you're having in the UK. Are tickets on sale right now?
What I've done is Diddy, and I'm waiting for one other. I'll actually say his name. It's Ian. I'm waiting for Ian to actually buy because that what it does for some reason, and I'm not an expert on this, but for some reason it helps to kickstart PayPal. And then on Monday, the site can go live, so I can send out all the links to all the different people. And that's it. Monday onwards, people will be able to buy tickets for the convention.
I want to definitely buy one. So that's it. I just got to remember Monday. Well, okay, got it. That's for the one in the UK. Okay, cool. Yeah,
I will be sending out links to everyone that I'm aware want the link. But I mean, what I will do next time, and I will talk to Diddy and the web team about this, is I need to change this landing page because it's not worked. Because what's happened is the landing page is actually, I didn't write back to them, and the landing page, they haven't got that email address in there. It's going to junk. So unless they look for it, they're not going to see it. So what I will do though, Patricia, with you and several other people, I will be sending direct links, but I do need to make sure that the people who filled in the landing page have every chance, because I wouldn't like a situation where somebody's come across the website, but somebody's actually put in their name a month ago, 2 months ago, missed out because we got limited numbers. And that's one of the reasons why I like the idea of the European event convention is not only to reach Europe, but also to actually people that can't quite make the English event have a second chance.
Okay.
And virtually every speaker can you hear me?
Yeah.
And virtually every speaker that's coming to the UK event is actually provisionally agreed to actually speak in Europe. So I'm really pleased about that.
Could you just give a brief list of who's coming and who's speaking?
At which event?
Well, the UK one then, because that one's more sorted than the other one, isn't it?
Okay, I'll do it by country because it's easier to remember. In America, we've got Mark Sargent and John de Morgan. In Spain, we have Oliver Ibanez Ludlow. In Holland, we have Mike Kavanagh. And in the UK, we have Darren Nesbitt, which I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm sure I'll be corrected. Dave Marsh, Sean Connors, and then, believe it or not, me. I'm back down on a slot because I've got something that I want to add. So I'm also another speaker. I think I've got everyone now. I like to think I've got everyone.
That's good. You're speaking.
Yeah, thank you, Patricia. What it is, I'm actually working on something that I want to present, which is something that's never been done before in Flat Earth. So I've got something that hopefully is going to be a bit of an eye-opener to people.
Wow, that's interesting. I when people say something is like that hasn't been announced or presented before, it always gets the curiosity up.
He's going to make us wait, Patricia. He's going to make us wait till the day.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
I am. Yeah. I mean, I could announce what it is, but the thing is, I think it'll have more impact if people find out the results on the day, because it'll be accurate and also it'll be unique. I spoke to one speaker about it, and sorry, Karen.
So I was going to say, Mike and Thomas, are you going to the American one at all? By the way, you two.
No, I won't be going anywhere. I'm going to be stuck doing research.
Where's the American one again? I missed out on that.
Raleigh, North Carolina.
That's actually not too far from here. I'm from Ohio myself.
It's kind of for me. Like what he said, I've been researching. We're tracking a 0-point energy scalar wave NASA's figured out. So, I mean, it's good that we do these events, and you can even have big picnics and do local events, and this is a good thing to get the word out.
Yeah. So we need people doing research, staying put, and we need people going to the conference. We need like all hands on deck all over the world. So it's good.
And I'd like to see.
I'm sure that series will be going to the one in Amsterdam then.
Yeah, for sure.
There you go.
One from UK.
What you've got as your icon that comes up when you speak is really beautiful, by the way, Series. What is it?
Oh, Series would love to explain that to you. Go on, Series.
This is for what I figured the actual map data.
Wow.
Rendering a movie with the magnetic layers to see actually how the magnetical fields in three-dimensional sense go.
It's really beautiful. It's artwork. It's like the best. You could frame that and put it on your wall. It's really beautiful.
I thought it was the interference pattern.
Always put Series stuff. I'm sure you can make posters of everything.
Maybe it's an idea to sell posters, but actually my own research financed a little bit.
Yeah.
Because actually this is just level 7, and I have to imagery data I have up to level 16, and elevation data up to level 15. And yeah, I just have barely memory to deal with half of the data, so it's still figuring out how we can.
Series, earlier on, you were sort of showing it more like a 3D thing. Is there any way you can show it like that?
What do you mean? Oh, the website.
Yeah, with the
like you could go into it, 3-dimensionalize it, and you just go in and there's a whole load of stuff in there.
Yeah, that's the meaning of this, and I'm rendering actually a movie at the moment that takes a lot of CPU or GPU actually. But
if he were to rotate that, the image would disappear for a while. He's in render mode.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's sort of listening in from the chat room already. We often talk about, when we've got other people on, we talk about what shape we are, but as a group, we've been looking more at the square, flat Earth. So that's what Series' picture is about. So that's his map on there, but it's been done series. Explain it again. What is that we're looking at? I can't think. I'm really tired. That is the electromagnetics of what we're living in.
Yeah, it's a combination of what the photographic square is with the missing 5-degree latitude, what adds 2 squares to it. From the GPS scale is that. And the electromagnetic field in several layers. It's I can read up to 1,000 kilometers up in the air from sea level. Yeah, so
colours though, Antarctica, aren't they?
yeah, pink is of left is
magnetics is definitely
south, and right is the north, and above is the west, and below is the east. And in the middle is our world, the middle square. And that's the part you see in Google Maps.
So the land
magnetics is definitely the oh my, no, you guys, oh, I'm sorry. You guys can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just going to say, I think the study of magnetics and magnetism is really going to be key, whatever the final form is. And my screen there, that's what I'm going with right now. I go with a basic UTM square model with you got a pulse, north pole spinning counterclockwise, you got a south pole spinning clockwise. This is only a perception thing though. The key is in magnetics, and if you understand that the center of a torus is a hyperbola, it's the donut hole inside of the donut. If you imagine that laying sideways, here I have something I can share here. Okay, here's the inside of a magnet. Let me share that first. This is a magnet under a ferro cell. What a ferro cell basically does, it has a ferrofluid in between 2 optical plates, and the light is being bent by the magnet that's underneath it. What you're seeing right now, you can't actually see it, but there's a magnet under that ferro cell. And you see these 2 dark spots on either side of the magnet. Those are actually the poles of the magnet that's under the ferro cell. The green line, or the colored purplish green line going up the center, that's what divides what you would call the North Pole and the South Pole. That's called the plane of inertia, or the black wall, or something like that. I see the Earth as being, it can be modeled inside of a magnet, where I see a straight plane of inertia, and as I showed you in the picture before, a pole on both sides of us, and we live in that dead center place of balance. Now, to take that one step deeper, though, actually a couple of things I wanted to show here. Share this one first. All right, this is your basic full magnetic field spectrum. You see a pole on one side, you see a pole on the other side, and in the center you see that bright line with a super bright green dot in the center of that. Even inside that is what I personally believe. Now let me show one other thing here. That's called, that green line, by the way, is called the, like I said, it's called the plane of inertia. It's balanced between 2 magnets. Now, my computer's acting real slow. I have a very old computer. I got an old dual core system.
It's
right
okay,
here.
Thomas.
Right here. Now, inside of that app that I was talking about, is that showing you? Okay. Here's, you see this black egg in the middle of the screen? That's in the middle, the dead center. That's like an egg-shaped, and I found it kind of interesting that I was talking to a Muslim the other day, and he was explaining to me that in the Quran, they say, Allah says that the earth is egg-shaped. And then I start looking at this magnetic egg here, this black egg right here. Then I started thinking of Neil deGrasse Tyson. You remember that cat? He gets up there and he says, well, yeah, the Earth is kind of pear-shaped. It's a little chubbier at the bottom. I remember that. Then it dawned on me, this guy is a secret society member, you know, some kind of mystery school. He understands that the secret to understanding our creation is going to be in electric theory, following guys like Tesla, Walter Russell, fellows like that. You know, they already showed us that the ether was real. They already showed us that everything is electric. We're not based, you know, we have this idea of Einstein where everything's based on particles, you know, electrons and protons and neutrons and leptons and gluons and all these other things. That's all false. Based on electricity. I mean, you should understand that it's based on electricity just by the fact that you have a North Pole and a South Pole. These are electrical ideas. This is a rotating torus. So we should understand that, first of all, that the creation is electric. And if you want to understand how it's working, you need to study magnets. So that's my 2 cents on the... So yeah, that's what I was trying to say. That's why I felt your magnetic pole there. I think that's really how we're going to figure out what the shape of the Earth is through the study of magnetism.
Ceres uses that last picture a bit, don't you? Or one like that, don't you, Ceres?
Yeah, so far I figure the spatial construct I already have. What I miss is actually understanding how it actually works. Because that's all into the magnetic sphere. How that all works. It's the dynamics within the spatial construct.
Magnetism is going to solve everything. People are, you know, I know all you guys have heard Eric Dollar talk about what the sun is. All these mysteries are going to be solved through electric theory. It's never going to be solved if you're looking in physics, quantum physics, M theory, string theory, whatever you know. M theory stands for magic theory. I've heard some call it, but yet none of that's rubbish. It's all garbage. Einstein was absolutely wrong. E equals mc squared is not the solution. 1/5 to the power of -3 is the solution, based on Plato's divided line. So yeah, learn that magnetism and you'll see.
Thank you, Thomas. Patricia?
I put Ken Wheeler's free PDF book on electromagnetism.
Oh, I love Ken Wheeler.
Yeah, he's the free PDFs there for anybody that wants to take the advice here and study it out. That book's got a lot of stuff we need. So
you can get one of those Ferro cells. Now the bigger Ferro cell is like $459, but they actually have a smaller one. It's only $99. I'm trying to save up for that one right now. And what makes these Ferro cells so interesting for people who've never seen one or don't know what a Ferro cell is, basically it's like a eyeglass with ferro fluid in it, and when you put it over the magnet, it literally forms like a three-dimensional, like 3 and 4 inches deep hologram of the magnetic field that's actually radiating off of the magnet. So you can actually see, you know, the hyperboloid in the center of it. You can see the torus radiating out from it. It's quite one of the greatest inventions ever, and I think that's what really made this field open up the way it has, is the fact that we can actually see these magnetic fields now.
Yeah, I would say, I don't know how Martin feels about this or Gary, but Mike, Helmick and Ceres are well into Ken.
Yeah,
Ken's really opened my eyes to it.
yeah, I'd like to get Ken on our team. Right now, like, you know, Patricia was talking about the hurricane earlier. Chris Monk, myself, and some others, they have found a way to steer this hurricane. And I'm not going to do a big presentation about it, but they need a power source to power this hurricane. And FPV had got Doppler radar of a scalar wave, we believe. And that wave's created by tapping into the magnetic fields that we were just looking at, north or south. I think they need a connection to the South Pole. I'm not 100% sure how this wave works, but this wave sweeps across South America. It hits on the August 14th, and it sucks all the shores in from South America that day. And the reason why it does that, if you read the documentation, it reacts with the electromagnetic properties of salt, because we make batteries out of salt, and it condenses or densifies, if that's a word, the salt water, much like our own natural moon dielectric negative light works with the tides, and then all the salt water contracts from the oceans. We saw this again on eclipse. The eclipse day, NASA was tracking the eclipse. There's other things up there. Of course, the moon did not make an appearance as a blocking eclipse, because nothing blocked the backlight of the sun. Mark said NASA was all over the place. Mark said they had planes in the air, and so, Mark reminds us that NASA is not a space program. They are a military program. And so everything they're doing is military based. They just fake the space stuff off on the side, And so what we saw with Harvey and then Irma and all these hurricanes in a row, these systems can produce these hurricanes, and we have their scalar wave being shot across from the South Pole all the way across South America. We have that now, and this is how you get these systems going. So we're talking doomsday weapons here, and right into Tesla's theory about scalar waves and unlimited massive potential power. I mean, these things make the concept of nuclear weapons look like firecrackers.
Do you think, Mike, that the eclipse and then the hurricanes, Irma and Harvey, very close in succession, and then Jose after, do you think that there's a connection with what they're doing? Time-wise.
Chris Monk, Patricia, has a little different theory that's more money motivated. My idea was that they were testing things. NASA was certainly interested in this eclipse because there were other things we didn't see at like 75,000 feet. There's all these bubbles up there, and we believe it's floating in a super magnetic fluid of some type. That's Chris Monk's theory. And there's all these bubbles, and these bubbles are leaving these little half eclipse caustic patterns all over the ground. People are taking pictures of. And so I think NASA was really interested in that. I think they were testing their stuff. And my theory is they screwed something up and are trying to fix it. And because if you see the paths of these hurricanes, for reports from Florida, nobody knew it was going to hit. They'd say it'd be here, and it wasn't there. And that's never happened before. And shortly after, Florida, the Bahamas, Spain was affected. The whole Atlantic Ocean draws its shores in.
And an earthquake in Mexico.
Right, a big one.
Fires all over America.
Right, earthquakes. I did not study that part out. Chris and other people are studying out. Earthquakes can be caused by plasma injection, much like lightning, into the earth. You can actually cause earthquakes that way. And I'm not, I'm not sure what they had to do with that. That's why Chris thinks they were trying to disrupt some trade or something with this stuff. And I think they were A, testing, or B, trying to fix something they screwed up during the eclipse, because they sprayed barium all over the United States to track this eclipse. And what we saw, chemtrails, I know David Weiss, he tracked the chemtrails from 6 in the morning, and they were tracked South Carolina, they were tracked in Arizona. And as the day progressed on, the whole sky fills up with chemtrails, except where Mark was at. It was nice and clear, but that's where NASA was at. So we got all this magnetic particulate floating around in our atmosphere. So NASA can track this. And so when you do that to our magnetic field and you mess something up, you trap weather systems, and you can trap storm fronts that should have moved on. And so my theory, it's just a theory, that NASA was possibly trying to use this system to fix something they screwed up and created other things. That's just my idea. Chris thinks it was money motivated. But one thing we do know for sure, Patricia, they were using this technology to control or alter these hurricane patterns. We know that 100%.
Well, probably both of what everyone's thinking is true. Anything done by them, in quotes, always has multiple reasons. Money could be a definite factor, and covering up something could be a factor, and then something we haven't even thought of yet. Seems like that's how they do everything.
I like to add something to my data, actually. So far, I've figured I've not found any proof of any edge, other than that you see there is a spatial loop with east-west, but in the north-south, nothing indicates that there is an end of it. The only reason I figure I have this size of data is because you actually need the triple square to use this particular formula they use to translate between the photograph and the GPS data. And you need the 3 squares to make the full GPS map. And that's why.
Well, there's got to be a limit to it, though, don't it? Doesn't there have to be a limit?
So far, I figured through the flow of life grid, it demands even at least 13, but probably 26 squares to actually create a complete loop again. Same as in east-west direction.
Well, there are stories of missing land.
Yeah, the main reason for me to actually look into this particular beyond is because of one particular story of somebody going to north, and the book The Worlds Beyond the Poles, in where even is described how the celestial stars are actually celestial realms beyond north and south. And then also functioning through this electromagnetic projection, what we see in the sky.
Well, you know, it really explains NASA protecting Antarctica. You know, we thought, well, they're hiding the flat Earth. But, you know, even Mark was looking at Operation Fishbowl again with me, and some of the stuff they were doing, they weren't trying to find a dome. They were checking out this power grid. They were checking out the portal effect. Because in electromagnetics, you don't really, it's not really a portal. You just, everything's at the same place, at the same time, and same space. You just, you know, you would end up on the other side.
Kind of a closed field, but you can't leave.
Yeah, you can't leave.
When field, you know, it behaves like it, but it is because we are on that field that we can only perceive it as a straight line in the 3-dimensional sense. That we look out of a higher dimension into 3D as an experience, and only through this small slitter within the whole electromagnetic spectrum. So it's kind of building up, growing into our, and developing our senses to even get beyond that small slitter and realize what there is more. And we have a lot of technology to see actually beyond the spectrum we can perceive. And that's how we get this data, for example, the whole electromagnetic field. I only make it visual, but it is an actual force field what is working through the air and on the earth and around us and through us, probably.
The ether.
Yeah.
Just to understand a little bit, if people don't understand what they're looking at with Series' work, he has managed to gain all this elevation data from Google Maps, which isn't present to the public, but it's there, sort of hidden. And he's managed to get it. Downloading it, aren't you, Series?
Yeah, since a year I'm working on this, almost a year.
He's been downloading it for a year. His computer's been on 24/7, almost downloading it for nearly a year.
That's a download there, buddy. Wow.
Yeah, it is. Series must have one of the most used computers in the world.
Well, they're not hiding anything. NASA doesn't hide anything. What they put to like CNN, CBS, and NBC, that's different. But, you know, I got all their weather data. I got the weather machine. I got the scalar wave technology. They are connected into something in the South Pole that they've been protecting now for a while. And, you know, even when you call up, you can talk to Rob Simmons. That has to be the guy, you know, Photoshop. He gave us Russia's, Japan's, and the US's FTP servers on how they fake the satellite weather images. He gave us all the data, their model of Earth that they overlay the Doppler radar on top of. He gave us all that. It's straight out and honest. It's just this indoctrination stops people from looking and seeing what's going on. So that's why I think these conventions and large hangouts are a good thing. The information's out there, just people aren't aware.
That's
Never
true.
had the notion to actually look at it here.
Well, let me ask you this question about this map here. You said you haven't found an outside edge. Now, we understand that if you're following square Earth theory, that it's a 4D map. Now, my thing is, I have a lot of people coming to my page asking about missing land. There's actually legends of northern lands being missing, land of giants and all this stuff back in ancient mythology. I've heard the theories of infinite lands. But my big thing to all of this is there's got to be something holding in the pressure. There's got to be a limit. The land can only stretch so far. And does it stretch all the way to whatever surrounds us? Or does whatever surround us completely spin or outside of us? I'm not quite sure that.
The donut field of the toroidal field, the donut part,
Right.
how I probably see it, as the fourth dimension is the small circle, and then the fifth dimension is the bigger circle of the donut. And then there is the sixth dimension. I figured the sixth dimension is that we are actually between the two as an upwards direction, because you have the 4D as east-west and 5D as north-south, then 6D is up and down. And that's the next level, what actually contains the previous two. And we are kind of in the sixth dimensional upwards and downwards as a connection between probably the higher of the heaven field and the earth field. As from creation in the beginning, the heavens and the earth were created. So there are two separate layers, if you ask me, in where we are actually in between and making the connection as having our roots in heaven, growing as a tree into the world. Exactly the opposite as a tree does, out of the earth into the heavens, and we are out of the heavens.
Well, you can look at it the same way. My favorite verse is 1 John 5:7, where it says there's three who bear record in heaven: the Father, the Word, and the Holy Ghost, and these three are one. What I see that as is heaven itself. I see that as the ether, which is utterly, completely counter-spatial, taking no space at all, but all of creation, or what we call space, magnetic fields, area, materialism, all of this radiates out, or literally grows out of that ether center point, or that counter-spatial point. And it's in the center of everything from your basic atom has this center point, counter-spatial center point, all the way up to our entire Earth realm. Because I think that's what it really is. I think maybe we're making a mistake in saying, well, the Earth is a square, or it's round, or it's this shape or that shape, when actually it's just a radiated realm of creation. But the contents definitely do have a shape.
Yeah, so far I figured there is this difference between the spatial construct and what actually happens within there.
Right.
And as Chris mentioned, that there is this light coming from the outside as a focal point in the middle, making the Earth grow from within. I only wonder where it grows to, other than north and south, as growth out of the south, us as in the middle garden of the tree of life, which are built between the north and the south. And then we grow in north and south direction, and not in east-west direction.
I'd like to see what happens if we get up to the top. I got images of Nimrod in my head in his Tower of Babel, and I always got the idea that he built this tower to get up to the top of whatever this is that we call the firmament, and maybe tried to cut his way out. What do you think is outside there? If that was actually the case, and someone actually did build some way to get up to the top of this place, And if we cut a hole in that, what's outside of this place?
Well, so far I figured that we have
go on.
firmament in the beginning at 60 to 80 miles, but how deep that firmament is, I have no idea. But apparently, through the Bible, everything is put in the firmament. And that's a very thick layer to work out. Because if I take the spatial dimensions of the square and there's the cube in three-dimensional sense, then I have 1,000 kilometers magnetical data, but I'm actually having 20,000 kilometers space.
That's actually what I'm seeing as a cube. Yeah, that's actually what I'm seeing as a cube.
Yeah. I don't know, Patricia, do you understand what's being said? Just asking, because it's quite a lot of words.
To be honest, I have a vague idea. I know that you have a specific model, or not, you guys are all working on a model, and magnetism plays a key role. And I know a little bit about Theoria, and I know a little bit about Ken Wheeler, and I know just a little bit that shows I don't know enough. So that's what I know.
None of us do. This is literally the cutting edge of everything. There's no source to go to. We are it right here. This is the cutting edge, the front line. So yeah, it's real difficult. None of us have the answers, but yeah, Ken's a really amazing guy. He really opened up my eyes to a lot when he completely debunked that whole Einstein theory for me.
We're just a big battery, basically.
Yeah. An alternator, your Tesla's alternator.
Yeah.
A giant self-powered alternator. And the ether is literally everywhere because everything is ether. Ether manifests itself as light, and then low waves give you the infrared, higher waves give you the gamma. Then the very high gives you matter. That's when the well, we won't go into that right now. But yeah, everything is light, everything is matter, everything is ether, and we are literally growing out of that. Actually, from my understanding, space, or what we call space and area material, actually isn't the normal nature of our being. I believe in a spiritual being myself, and that spirit is consciousness, and that consciousness resides in the ether itself. I was just distracted, I'm sorry. I forgot where I was going. Somebody distracted me with something.
It ties enormous into what Itzhak Bentov described. That video what I had in the last video club. And I know what should
lost my train of thought there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, so Patricia, so while they're talking about things that are way out there, my goal and job is to get this in coloring book form so that people like the rest of us can connect the dots and teach it.
That's what I need. I need the coloring book.
And that's what I am really working on, working with Chris Monk and others. And right now we know that the UTM grid is correct, and that's a square. That's what we base our GPS on. In other words, your GPS will take you to the McDonald's if you need to go there. It'll take you somewhere else. It's not fake; it's real. So we know that the map but we don't. What really is the shape of the Earth outside of that? Where's the magnetic fields extend? That's what we're trying to look into, and that's what we hope to get explained. And like I said, NASA has the Antarctica protected. They have had 30 nuclear subs under ice there for a while. Robert Bassano busted that story out, and Google Earth removed that image before I had a chance to get to it. But they're protecting something, and they are able to tap in all those pretty colors you saw on the map, Patricia. Well, that's a lot of power, and that was Tesla's theory, that he could power everybody through waves, and we'd all get free energy and not have to have outlets and plug-ins. We just set up our little receiver there and use our hair dryer, and they're tapped into something there that's able to alter weather patterns with so much power. can alter the Atlantic Ocean. So that's what they're talking about. And we're just trying to get it sorted in. And I'm going to make a coloring book for kids and the rest of us. And hopefully we'll get it explained in real simple, easy to understand steps. And that's my goal.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be complicated with a bunch of details. Just to get them to understand that you're on a flat plane. You don't have to have the exact detail how every star orbits or nothing like that. Just get them off that ball in the first place and let them.
If you imagine they spent all that money lying to us, that no one can expect that we, as just ordinary, well, Ceres, Mike, even you, Thomas, you know, there's Martin, all of you are really clever people, but we're only people, you know, we don't have the NASA technology, and how does everybody expect us to be able to?
I figure I have nothing to begin with, and I'm already doing this. Imagine what a budget will do if we actually
give me 20 billion. And that 20 billion, they're getting that every year. I mean, constantly. They can do whatever they want. But I think a lot of that money, though, honestly, I think that's where, like, you got these terrorist groups like ISIS and stuff like that running around. I think that's where we're getting the money to do that stuff. I think they'll go to Congress and tell them, well, you know, we're going to build this new Pathfinder. It's going to go to Mars, and we're going to need $20 billion this year. Congress signs it over. They build a little, maybe $1 million little rover, you know, and take it out to Arizona or New Zealand or wherever, and do a little film. And then the other $19 billion, you know, that's getting shipped offshore to Israel or someplace, and then they're finding all these people that are really upset with their government, you know, radical religionists, and they're funding them, arming them, and that's where all their money is coming from. I think it's through all the worlds are doing that. That's what their NASA programs are for. All these space agencies is for pulling money out of the general public and putting it into black ops departments like these terrorist acts and these crisis acting and all this other stuff. I think that's what the money source is. That's why we need to squash NASA.
Here's a question, and it's about the picture of Earth from space, all in quotes there, when we have Antarctica shown and part of Africa. Now, they could have decided to fake any picture at any time during any of the missions, but they decided to present us with that image. Why did they decide to present us with those particular continents? Antarctica, maybe because they wanted to show us Antarctica so that we wouldn't get any ideas about it being different than...
Yeah, I wouldn't be curious. Yeah.
But why Africa? Then I was thinking about duality and black and white. Not that only black people have lived in Africa, but look, Antarctica, you think of a white, icy, and you think of Africa generally as being where people more heavily melanated live, more black people. So was this all had multi-levels of ways to program us when they picked that particular image?
Yeah, sounds like slavery then, huh?
Well, Africa is like the greatest resource. I mean, as far as like, you got diamonds down there, you got every kind of sapphire, you got gold down there, you got oil up in the northern parts of it. It's like probably, I would guess, probably one of the richest nations in the world, even though they might be, you know, in complete poverty, you know, thanks to the warlords and poor government and everything else they got going on down there. But outside of that, Africa is like the most rich nation. And right at the top there, right where Africa is touching that Middle East, you know, this is where they're claiming is the cradle of civilization too. So that might have something to do with it too. You always see that little peninsula in there in Saudi Arabia and India, and that whole little Caucasus mountain section right there. And again, I think that might have
it sounds like a train's coming through your house.
Yeah, I think so. Oh yeah, there is a train.
The train's coming.
Wow, I can hear that. Thing's like a mile away too. I can't believe we can hear that.
Sounds really noisy.
Yeah, I'm gonna pause or mute myself for a minute until it's done.
I'm surprised we haven't heard Martin's traditional police sirens going off in the back when he's been with us. It usually happens when he's doing hangouts.
Sorry, I was off doing flat Earth British stuff there. Yeah, no, they are going off. Just look at my room; it's lighting up, blue lights every time they go past.
At least they're going past, Martin.
I like the train. A thing for trains.
Yeah, it's a peaceful sound.
Just ignore the person in the corner. He's happy share through this thing. Sorry, I'm in one of my silly moods. I have been all day. It's just me.
You have Karen, you've got a very lively chat room with all sorts of people. I've been looking, watching. So yeah, a lot of people just talking among themselves, talking about what's being talked about on the Hangout. There's very little issues happening in the chat. So people are taking this group seriously, you guys. So
keep it as peaceful as possible. We're not into the drama. We're not into arguing. The wrenches, the people there know any bad comments, they get deleted. We don't want them. We don't want to see them. We're a peaceful group. We're trying to come together. I mean, look at all the different people. We've got Gary Convention. We've got Martin, Mike, you, Thomas, Patricia, another Patricia. We're all in this together as a family and a community as far as we're concerned, and that's how we want it to stay.
We are all in it together. That's a definite. Getting answers together.
We are in it together, even if people, I don't mean here, but other areas dislike each other. We all live here on the same plane.
I think together. They're lying, though, Patricia, to themselves. I think they have a vague liking for all of us around this same campfire at this moment in time, because this ride's, incredible. And even the HD or the hater people, I think they're somewhat underneath it all, liking everything that's happening, really. They wouldn't be here otherwise, would they? They'd go off and piss off and piss off. And another part of the internet, it's quite big, isn't it? We're just a quiet corner over here. So,
yes,
I think it's all good. I really do. It's just the globe mentality spilling out and people getting ugly. That's all. You laugh at it now. I'm actually in the last, say, 2, 3, well, probably since the eclipse, actually, since I turned my world upside down. I thought, actually, after that, I thought, right, I can see what that's pointing towards. I think I'll just deny the sky for a bit and concentrate on what I can see on the ground. So I'm busting history this month. This season, I am mainly busting history. The thing is, I reckon I could do this. I can piss academia right off. I can do that. So I'm going to do that this season. So that's the plan.
There's an interesting comment by Time Q Celador.
Yeah,
I hope I'm saying it wrong. I mean, I hope I'm saying it right, not wrong. Who wrote, "The attitude of not trusting anyone with money is part of your own mind matrix to keep you from having the resources you need. It's called having a proper prosperity consciousness." So I really actually try to live that way. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with having money or trying to have more
power of attraction. You're not going to attract poverty and and homelessness, are you? You're going to be positively intention. To be honest, like if I'm going to be brutally honest here, right, with the whole awakening year, in the right back of my mind, there's a tiny bit that says to myself, well, actually, this is like a sort of self-preservation thing for myself, actually, on a personal level, because I think to myself, well, in the future, if the government tried to make me do some slavery that I'm really not going to do, I'll just do flat Earth as a full-time job. Jesus, it
is a full-time job.
So this is what I think. So there's a little bit of selfishness involved there. That's the only bit, though. The rest is for everyone else.
Well,
flat Earth every day. Who does flat Earth every day on the panel? I bet you all do it. Hours of it every day.
There's no days anymore. It's just one big long day. Time is gone for a flat Earth, but it doesn't exist anymore.
Even if we're not making videos or on panels, or even if we're not watching them, we're thinking about it.
I'm a content junkie. I can't stop making content. And this to be wrong with me. I'm surrounded by books. Look what I just discovered. I'm looking in one of my old sort of magazine war collections, only find an Azimuthal, and when I look at the AE, it's got a bloody love heart on it, and 2 love hearts on it, and a crescent, and they're projections from the US military. Check that out.
The military loves us.
It's almost
from a 1962 war magazine. I thought, I was going through it earlier, just browsing. I thought, what? It was a collection of World War II, and you used to send the binder away when you was a geeky young kid. like I was, and then you got the binds and put all the magazines in together. Shut up, Matt. Show myself up, yeah. But yeah.
Then again, now we look at everything different. I mean, I don't know about you, Patricia, but I used to go out like shopping, and now I go out. I'm looking in the sky. I'm looking at the sun. I'm looking at the clouds. I'm looking at everything.
I've always been looking up, but they got everyone looking at their mobiles, though, Karen. Everybody's looking down now. Nobody's looking up anymore. That's part of it too.
I've done that on purpose with the phones.
I think they have too.
About to stop us looking out or using them to take pictures.
Yeah.
My friend only had a shock of his life when he seen my sky. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to take photographs of that now." Jeez, yeah, nothing like that in Thailand. So they're not coming heavy in Southeast Asia. So I'm thinking it might be just the Western democracies that are doing this. Maybe it's just located, like what whoever was suggesting earlier, Mike, I think. Weird how there's not coming like that in Bangkok. You think the city that side they came it heavy, but nope. I mean, he was shocked when he seen the state of my chemtrail Armageddon sky.
When Nick came, Nick, when he was in your house, he was saying, "Wow."
We went into the supermarket and took a walk together and went and got some nice food in, and he's like, look at your sky. It's like, that's not even bad. Wait till they start up later and do the grid. By the time he'd left, the grid pattern was there and the entire sky was covered. Just, it was like a hazy.
Patricia, do you get chemtrails?
We have them here.
Do you get?
But last year when I went to the UK, I think it was last year. Gosh, I've lost track of all that. Yeah. I remember looking outside and seeing planes in front of my very eyes making grids. And in the US, I wouldn't see it as much happening. I would just see the sky go from blue to milky. But it was so blatant in the UK. Yeah. And that could be just... It could be just because I happened to catch it there in the UK and didn't happen to catch it here in the US. But it was so many times I would be just looking up in the UK, and it was as if the planes were at that very moment deciding to do it. That meant that they're just always doing it.
No, and they know the British public are sound asleep, Patricia. They're not worried. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Around me, everyone is sound asleep in the US. Yeah. And that's when Karen was saying she used to go shopping, so did I. I owned a clothing store. I have enough clothing, I don't need to ever buy another stitch of clothing is what I'm saying. Now, I'm not going to get rid of it. I still enjoy it and wear it. But my interest in acquiring more and the latest fashions completely gone ever since this thing happened. Because I see that to me, clothing is art, and I am very interested in art and style and that. But this whole thing that we're involved in now, truth seeking and trying to contribute in whatever way we can to help, it makes those things, which are part of life, art is part of life, seem superficial. But maybe that's a bad attitude, because whenever we solve this, or whenever we step even further into solving it, maybe without actually reaching that end goal in our lifetime, we're still going to need people to create art. And I mean, those things are not going to be unimportant, because the shape of the earth is the only thing.
This golden age, when they had these absolutely massive, beautiful cities, and they lived in a higher vibrational state. What didn't they do with their time of the day? Well, they create music and art. And they're not there to be bragging about their lives.
That's what the chemtrails are. They're art.
So I always imagine this golden era. What would they do with a day when they have no worries anymore, and you don't have to worry about dying like they had in the Hyperborean? They got these fruits which keep them eternally healthy and young. So they're child. You're not stuck in childhood. They grow up to this certain adult age, and they're sort of just young, healthy adults forever. Sounds really reasonable. But what would you do with your time?
People say that would be boring if you didn't.
No, it's not, because they're I reckon further in the center, I reckon they're just a real higher vibrational state. I reckon further towards the out towards the supposed Antarctica, I think it gets to a real darker vibrational state. It just seems to, all sailors tell you the same thing. You get down there, you get this bad, dark, empty feeling. It's just, everyone feels the same thing down there. You get the same sort of thing in the north, but I'm talking about beyond the pole, like above beyond the poles, which suggests a few different things, actually.
That is. I just want to ask Mike, Mike, do you get chemtrails where you are?
Not really, not a lot, not here. I'm in Illinois, kind of in the center, so.
No. Is it in a rural area you live, or in a city?
We got 150-some thousand here, so. 2 hours from Chicago.
And Thomas.
And Ohio was flooded with them.
Yeah, I was going to say Thomas in Ohio. I was going to ask, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, Canton, Ohio, that's where I live in Ohio, is in Canton. If I'm not mistaken, I think they have a factory around here that makes some kind of part for military tanks and stuff like that. And apparently we're on the hit list. If we ever get nuked, we're supposed to get one out.
We are too. They make the Predator drone here. Although I've never seen one test flown. Very funny, huh?
I'd like to see whoever's doing the chemtrails, let's just say the government, it's probably the government. I'd like to see the handout of where to, or whatever it is, the printout, the map, the plan of what areas get chemtrailed, at what time of the year, and then the why, of course, is the biggest question. It's probably like everything else they do, 5, 6, 7 different reasons, not just one thing.
It might be a pattern to it.
The country complaining.
I would say
a whole country. Well, go ahead.
billion reasons. Us.
Good.
Did a couple of videos where the traffic controls do see that the military are farming the skies.
They've got to.
How do you
justify
On their radars, they see it. I've seen a couple of videos which show that they know, right? That the traffic controls know.
I remember as a child.
Standing there, or I've been driving, and suddenly you'll see a plane start or stop chemtrailing.
Right, exactly. And the pattern, it's being sprayed in front of you. So you can't just say, oh, that was some planes that went over to the right and some planes that went to the left, and it was a coincidence. But you're seeing them do it there, and there's no reason that would happen. Unless they're skywriting. I remember as a child laying out in back of the house where there was a lot of grass with my sister. And of course we did what all children do. Look at the clouds and see if there's a bunny rabbit. That looks like a man's head.
Check your old family photographs. Look at the skies in your old family photographs. Yeah. There's no chems in them. They're even in Hollywood. Mark Sargent said about it, Patricia. They're pulling up old, Starsky and Hutch and different television series, just adding chemtrails in them for the new people, so they don't notice the missing chems from the 1970s.
Young people don't know a different world. That's the world that they know.
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it?
Yeah, but then again, here we are, like you were saying earlier, Karen, when we were talking about music, we just sound like old people now. Back in the old days, it was so much better.
I don't feel like that. I feel like we're all young children.
I do too.
Yep, I feel like I'm in my 20s.
Same here, Patricia.
Never stopped. And I'm thinking that's just the way that you stay, I think, if your mind's active. Maybe your body might fail here and there as you get older, but my mind's going to probably be in my 20s as long as I've got a mind. So that's my plan anyway.
It must be the year we're born in.
I wish I knew when I was 20 what I know now.
Oh, yeah.
I could have done with my life. Wow.
If we all did, we'd have this all solved by now. Maybe.
Just say that Chris Monk reckons that they are warming up the atmosphere on purpose.
Yeah.
Trails are to warm the atmosphere up because things aren't quite like they're telling us, and they're warming the atmosphere up to keep us warm. He reckons, anyway.
To do us a favour? Or counteract something? I can't see that.
Explain it, what you series.
Well, if you're inside of an enclosed environment, that might be a problem. I mean, I don't know anything about global warming. I don't follow that or anything else like that. But let's just imagine you're in a giant. Yeah, I mean, just imagine you're in a giant mason jar, and you can live inside there. You got water, you got air circulation, the whole 9 yards. But then anything that you do inside that jar stays inside that jar. I mean, if you cause the sun to put up too much heat, there could be a problem. Could be a problem, with global warming, as they call it, or whatnot. Because again, it's how hard is it to heat up or freeze, for that matter, an enclosed environment.
I don't know whether any of you've gone through this, but in the UK, I was talking to a few people about this. Say the temperature said it was in the 20s, but it felt like 30s or 40s, like we're being microwaved.
Huh. Interesting. Well, they do say the towers that are all around could, I mean, I don't know if I believe it or not, could potentially be activated now that they've gone to 5G in some cases and actually microwave us.
Yeah. I mean, 5G is real. I believe it. I've researched enough to let me think that it's a real thing, that they can weaponize them and microwave us if they like. The technology's been around a long time. They just amped it up. And, you know, I've taken photographs of them across the road, and you know, I know, like, I talked to somebody like who was a radio officer in the military, you know, Robin Poe, and she said, no, Martin, they would have big conduits going up, you know, that far to drive that much power out, to drive out, you know, the signal that far. I'm afraid not, because there's a massive tower 100 yards up the road and 100 yards up the road, and then you go a mile out into the west and drops off completely. This is rubbish. So it's not that. There's something else. And I noticed that they angle them. Down towards schoolyards, I've noticed as well, in places like that. They literally directionalize them. I've seen them up there. They're on pivots, and they directionalize them like that. Down as well. Really sinister.
I made sure when I got this place that there were no towers, and I even have a little meter so you can tell. And there was no, like, that frequency wasn't around anywhere around or outside. But the thing is that we all leave our houses. You know, the minute you're driving, boom, you know, so.
Well, I get tinnitus in here, but nowhere else. And it's always in this year, the year that's facing that. And I don't get it when I'm out. I just feel it might be a connection. I don't know, it might be just nothing, but I really do. These things have turned up in the last 10 years, and they're everywhere. And not only that, you've got these columns now, which are like lampposts, and they sort of go thicker on the top, and they are like on the end of every street practically now in the cities. And we don't exactly know what they are. We don't know what's inside them.
I would say nothing good. That's what I would say. Nothing good.
Really bad, isn't it? Because what have we been talking about today? That we live in this totally magnetic.
Well, they know about it. They know. Well, they know more than they're letting on. If they did have older Tesla's technology, they've had phreology for 100 years, and they've been using it themselves, and they've been praying nobody else discovers it. That could be bad for people's health if they did. I'm just saying, they are not going to let go. There's motor cars out there, but they're not going to give up all the oil companies and all of that, millions of pounds.
We could have been electric. We were electric, and we could have stayed electric, and then they turned us into.
They were in the beginning. They started out electric, look, but then they went to.
Imagine what we could have been driving around now if in 1910 everything was electric, or things were electric. Imagine what cars we'd have now, and we wouldn't have all these chemicals from the cars going into the sky. Because, I mean, England, there are millions of cars here. Millions.
Remember the less petrol, what they were doing?
100 years ago. I mean, 100 years ago, they even prosecuted somebody for teaching the ball.
True.
Then they knew everything about the electromagnetic stuff. Something happened there 100 years ago. Everything got switched, and I guess the two world wars are very a big part of this particular transition, destroying everything from the past.
Definitely.
100%. Completely.
100%.
Yes, they lied to us. It wasn't 300 or 400 years ago that we were a ball. It's less than 100 years. Well, about 100 years that they have told us we're a ball.
And that's why some people still believe, or always have believed that we're flat. And I know Nick of Phuket Word, whose wife is Thai, said that when he told her about flat Earth, she just looked at him and kind of smiled like, yeah, of course it's flat. It's always been flat. Because
never had a globe in a classroom, see, Patricia.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
So I'm not saying that they teach it in Thailand. I'm just saying that wherever she got her knowledge from, that was just not a primitive woman, obviously.
No,
I mean,
she's not.
Married to Nick, she's definitely going to have quite the intellect, because that's just the way things go. That's just, she just it's like an inner knowledge, an intuitive thing. And probably we all had that when we were kids. I remember having little thoughts on a merry-go-round about it spinning, and if the earth is spinning, and why don't I fly off, and all of those thoughts. But the minute you think of it and voice it, you're kind of shot down gently by a teacher who will, you know, point at a globe and say, no, you live on this, and gravity, and you just, it takes the fight out of you.
There's any human Mother Nature out there, though, Patricia. You told me a story, Nick, that there was a big yellow python come up to the end of the garden. He got a jungle at the end of his garden, and his wife went out and said, "Go away, snake. This is my yard, and I've got children here, and I don't want them harmed." And the snake looked at her and just slithered off into the jungle, was never seen again. So she's got this like symbiotic thing going on with nature. They all have, these people. They're not like us Westerners. We've been wiped away from Mother Nature, unfortunately, taken out of the rural areas and put in these new thing. They haven't been around that long, 150 years. Well, 1800, first million population, New London, and then they all stem from that. Apart from ancient Rome, apparently 2,000 years before. No, it's all rubbish. I don't believe absolutely anything. I'm absolutely believing, if they can lie about the shape of the earth, why the hell are we believing anything else they proposed?
Yeah,
that's what I agree to myself.
You lied about everything.
All of it, yeah.
Tell us the truth about, like, you know, when you watch the videos and it's all like 400 years we've been a ball. Well, that's not true. You've lied about everything.
I can be arguing Socrates or Aristotle with me literally tonight. I'm like, please look, it may be really, you know, if you study classical education and you've been eaten, I suppose you could swear till you're blue in the face this person exists. But we weren't there, and you've been handed these books by people who are corrupt and rotten to the core. Don't you get it? They would send you to your death if there's a war, and they told us that we were on a spinning ball. There couldn't be nothing more fundamental to our being if you fucking tried. It makes me angry thinking about what they did to us. People understood, truly.
Imagine which way we could have gone on technology. Imagine which way we could have gone on so many things. I mean, one day on a hangout, Chris Monk had a tear in his eye because he realised that if he'd known what he knew now then, he might have been able to change things, you know, even just things
for
around
the benefit
the
of
world.
humanity. You know, we could have these technologies just for
What a waste of time, what a waste of money.
Telling us we're using them for weaponry. Look, everything, you know, do you believe people lived in caves? Do you believe that was an example of humanity? And then we've extended from that and developed, because I believe that they've just set this narrative out. It's gone into our psyche the same way as a placebo effect works. And I think it's all a false paradigm. Everything, it's bang on what the guy said earlier. It's a spiritual realm of existence, and they're all flat realms. It's a plane.
Flat realm.
Plane. Yes, so it's a plane of existence. Personally, myself, I think that I can get to an answer busting history, because I thought, oh shit, look, I merchant navy for years, I was a stonemason for years, I worked as an archaeologist for years. Why am I fucking about, excuse my language, with NASA? There's hundreds doing that now. So I'm just gonna do what I know. I'm gonna go on site and I'm just basically piss off academia. You were talking about a Pierre Rees map earlier. Look who proposed that to us, Graham Hancock. Now, I've spoken to him twice because I was reading a book and I wrote to him and he actually wrote right to me back. Really nice. But I can't help thinking the circumstances when you look into how that Pierre Rees map was discovered in that library in Venice and all of that sinister shit that went down with it, I can't help thinking that it's just another ruse. Anything, even mainstream internet, it's disinformation, I'm afraid. The only answers we're going to get is like we're doing now, guys. Definitely, 100%. We can't rely on anything on here. Anything can be altered. Any words can be altered. So when we're real time discussing, this is the only time I believe it's ever going to matter. And I think the information shared is the only time it's ever going to matter. Otherwise, it's only regurgitating other people's information. And that's what we've had, other people's information. And we've not had critical thought, not us personally, but the rest of humanity, and not thought for ourselves. And that's what, this is why I love the flat earth so much, reintroducing people to critical thinking. And you don't even, you know, just, if you just sat in a room on your own and thought about, if you understood the heliocentric model and thought about it in a room yourself for half an hour, you would walk out of that room and say, no, that's impossible. Obviously, that's impossible. That's a ridiculous notion. Why did I believe it? And then you look into your psyche to see what you got to back it up, and you find absolutely nothing. Because everything in your personal experience tells you that it's flat. You know, I was years in the Navy. There was things, ridiculous instances of.
It's more than that, isn't it, Martin? Even if we can't prove it 100%, we know it's flat from what we can. I mean, Patricia, there's a simple.
Kill the globe. Yeah, kill the globe over and over again.
This is really scientifically based. Then there should be an experiment what actually can make anything empirical. In other words, it's repeatable.
What they want. Yeah. The scientific method is that's what they want. It's what needs to be done. Yeah.
There is no experiment to actually prove it. Right. So where is, in God's name, where is any of this theory
well, I'm leaving it up to the creator to show his hand to us all, and I think that's going to show soon. And I think then everyone, because something's happened here, guys. You can't deny there's been a shift in our consciousnesses. You can't deny there's been an awakening. Plain wide, we just found out that, and it's not even a fucking joke, guys. This is the real thing. We're on a flat plane. Do you see the implications of this? So I can't imagine this escaping the consciousness of humanity. So I do every day when I wake up see the implications for humanity in the future. This is not going away. I'm not going away. You're not going away. Your kids and people's descendants are not going away. We need to give them the info, and that's what we're doing. I can just see everybody being like Mark Sargent. I was listening to him on that. He was being interviewed by the Globe. Was it Patricia earlier?
Yeah, Boston Globe.
Yeah, it was a good top interview, and he was really, really on fire, I thought. And he said a couple of excellent points about a lot of things I've been thinking about recently as well. I can't remember the point because I just thought about something else and set me off that way. Sorry, it's my brain.
I wonder sometimes, though, that what's happened with us. What if that happened 500 years ago and we don't know about it because it was buried somehow?
It keeps happening, this awakening, over and over again. It surely does. I think it may have happened in the late 60s, but got perverted. They never had the truth. They had the peace and the love, and they're not the truth, and it was co-opted. But I think that they were, the buzz was there. People, it was a worldwide movement, the hippie movement. People were dressing the same as they were in Hong Kong, as they were in New York. It's everywhere, worldwide. It's akin to that, I feel, because it is so fundamental. I think this, I can't imagine why humanity hasn't grabbed this with both hands and embraced it. To me, it's beyond.
Yeah, it's are people just so in love with their
capitalism, greed, and they want that lifestyle. Even if they know in their bottom of their heart that it's evil and satanic run, and the people, even if they are our rulers, are pedophilic by nature, and they are God knows what, and if they're psychopathic and the whole paradigm is psychopathic, and they tell us that we're better at killing people more than we're better at doing anything else, well, that's a lie, because we're not. Humanity works symbiotic.
So that we don't like each other, we're fearful, we've got egos,
and we're all different countries, we all don't even think like that, do we? We all love one another as people, and we're all from different countries. But they tell us, them law, when they're dividing man against man, they've done it in London with another fake attack today, to drive, good people who love their children and love their families away from other people. So they're further divided. Now that's what we got to stop.
Yeah, that's what it's about. It's about breaking up society, because we're in some kind of communism.
It's worse. It's a totalitarian society that I have never envisioned. Big Brother's nothing.
They're funneling you, they're lying, they're directing you, they're telling you what they want you to watch, the subliminal messages through the television. It just goes on and on and on and on. We're in some kind of communism.
Post outside. When I crossed the road, I took Nick to show it. He went, "Oh my God!" It went. So they know if you're wanted by the police or not, because it's pretty bad in my area. You get a lot of wanted people. But on my crossing, and they got Gordon Brown brought it in the late 90s. There's no way that he withdraw the bill. Microphones in the lampposts, so you can listen out for terrorists discussing on street corners, Gestapo style. So they definitely not withdrawn that. So that's a reality too. This sort of surveillance of humanity is unprecedented. There's nothing. They're there now. They're looking at us now. They're hearing us now. They probably watch us on big fucking screens in a big room. Fuck you lot.
That was a great moment right there, Martin.
I mean it.
Yeah.
You know it.
Well, I mean,
hey, Patricia, there is a test you can do. If you go to any expanse of water, and you say go with Mark, for instance, and he stands 10 feet up the beach, 20 feet up the beach, and then coming to your feet and not his feet, and yet he sees the sun coming to his feet, not your feet.
Right. And he's said to me in his model that the sun is instanced. It's different for each person.
Yeah. Proven a subject reality.
Kind of like what you guys are talking about here.
Definitely. I believe it's true. And I believe the eclipse killed it. Look, when Nick Punkitworth posted that video with those eclipses, and it's specific to each and every country, and you could see them going through every leaf and multi-layering on top, and specific to any person wherever they were. And it was just complete evidence of the esoteric. And I believe that that's what's happening full stop with all of this, you know. I always thought it from the very, very beginning. I really have. Patricia, didn't I say to you, how could I have recognized you when I first met you and other people? And then we naturally become friends. How can I know this stuff? I'm not a psychic, am I? So I believe that it's karmically connected is the only way I can explain it. And I think I'm also convinced this has happened before. And I think they stemmed the flow. And I think we all made a pact to come back and try it again. And make it work. Because you can you imagine 100 years? We've
got to right the wrong. We're here to right the wrongs.
It's not sitting on your ass, not doing anything about it, Karen, love, because there's a lot of people that are. You know, you've got choice in this life. You can sit there when you see a wrong in the world, do nothing about it, live with it. Or if you see a wrong in the world, get off your ass and do something about it. And that's what you decided to do. And, you know, kudos to that.
Well, yeah, I'm very proud to be around so many people researching. I mean, even Thompson does his bit. Gary's doing his bit. Mike's doing his bit. Patricia, Series, and the other Patricia. We're all doing our bit. There's people who come on our panel, all bits of a puzzle, trying to fathom all this out.
Everyone's valuable. You'll get somebody who'll come out of nowhere in a minute with a revelation. They'll blow us all out of the water. It always happens with this movement.
Right.
There's always something right around the corner, Patricia, isn't there?
It's exciting.
It is exciting. I'm choking on sweets.
Oh no, that's not exciting.
The only thing is, right, we hate like Facebook or the tech, like they're watching us, but it is a way that we've all met.
Yes.
If it wasn't for this technology, so it's a bit annoying, but
right. We have to appreciate that it's a brilliant technology, but we can't get subsumed by it and use it for the negative aspects of it, which is most of our culture is just using Facebook or any sort of social media to get dates, sex, show stuff off. I'm better than you. And we're using it. Maybe we will show ourselves on a vacation or our new car or something, or our child's graduation, but we're using it for another reason too. We're using it as a teaching tool and to learn ourselves. So as long as we keep the balance that we're using this technology, not just for superficial things, but also to help mankind and ourselves, then I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's why we are dealt with a lot of trolls in that sense to actually prevent that.
Yeah.
Get us divided, that we never connect.
This is very true. That's why they always say, oh, there's agents in Flat Earth. They don't need agents. I mean, there's people within Flat Earth doing stuff to each other that are Flat Earthers, as well as trolls.
We all do. We all do every day.
All of us on this panel are open because we do realise that we've been lied to. We're sorting it all out. We're all open to things. I don't know whether there's billions of trolls. I just think people are very set in their ways. We had one the other day who just wouldn't budge an inch, and they were arguing and arguing and arguing and arguing, and they were a big
They're scared of us. They see us as a danger. They see the implications that actually you're going to have to stop drinking. You're going to have to stop being a dick. You have to realise you're creator, and they don't want to let go, like we just said. So there's an element to that in their psyche, which is why you get that knee-jerk response from the off when you mention flat Earth. You won't get it if you mention UFOs or Bigfoot, because the psyche kicks in, and they're like, no, you're not going to mess with our worlds of crap that I like, because I know what you're up to. You want a better world, don't you? You want a nice little golden era. Well, I'm not in that golden era. That's what's going on.
Well, we've been talking about it. This consciousness is a love consciousness. It is.
It is. God is love.
Spiritual love consciousness. And it's to do with the people. It's to do with us.
Yeah. It's always there. It's very subtle. But if you realise that subtlety and you just basically experience that subtlety, it's there all the time. Every second I can experience now because I can tap into it. It's there for everyone. But most people will miss it. And they're like searching for gods or searching for answers. I've done it myself. I traveled the world to try and find myself. And boy, what an idiot and a fool I was, because it was there all the time. And all I had to do was sit and listen. It was all there in the ether, all the answers that I ever wanted. All I had to do was be true to myself at the end of the day to get my answers.
Just listen to the whisper under the shouting of your own mind.
Ooh.
Yeah, the chatter stopped.
What have they done to us? What are they trying to? Who are they trying to cover up? Series.
Who is only us?
Us.
I mean, yeah, we are the center of anything. It doesn't matter how you look at it. We are the center, and the only thing where they deviate us from is ourselves into anything else, anything outside of.
If you don't want us to find out what we truly are, brother, that's what it is. You know what we are, don't you? We're anything we want to be. And we're not, they're scared that we're going to get, like do Adolf Hitler or get monstrous, but that's not what's going to happen. It's all hard-coded in our hearts. We know we don't need 10 commandments. We're not going to hurt one another. We're loving people. Most people are.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep telling us we're not when they use mind control to tell us we're not, and it's not. They used Second World War, evolutionary physics and Darwinism, survival of the fittest. What a crock of shit when all of nature points towards a symbiotic relationship. You don't get a gang of bumblebees coming in and fucking, kamikaze in the roses, do you? No, they share. You know what I mean?
Symbiotic relationships don't just evolve.
So poisonous they are.
Symbiotic relationships don't just pop out of nothing.
No, everything's connected. Someone said in the chat feed last night. I think we're all connected in the same thing.
Not our fight, guys, is it? It's not. I mean, like for instance, they've all these wars and that. They're not real. None of it. It's not the people that are fighting.
No.
Yeah, you get.
Open the window. The birds are tweeting. It's all on the telly. Everything you think is happening comes out from the same source. On the internet in the morning, on your MSN page, and on the television. When you open the window, the birds are tweeting. Nothing happening.
True.
All the news is fake news. I wouldn't, and just to keep everyone in a lower vibrational state, so they get ill. So it bumps up big pharma and they die young. End of. Oh, and the spiritual aspect, which is massive, of course. There's so many. Like you don't need one reason. There's multi-layered reasons, but the biggest of all is the spiritual reason. So we don't all wake up to what we truly are. Because I tell you what, guys, there's not going to be any choice for humanity, because the way consciousness works is it goes out into the ether and everyone else gets it like that overnight, and they're going to wake up whether they want it or not.
Here it goes.
Monkeys, yeah. So it's going to happen no matter which way. So yeah, it's a bit of responsibility. There's no doubt about it. But it's definitely going to happen, guys. And probably in this lifetime too, because it's coming on so quick, guys. It is.
We weren't all talking this time last year, were we? And now look how many of us are talking. And like, for instance, Gary's happening. We've had other meets. It's happening.
Yeah, hundreds will turn into 10, into 1,000, and 1,000 will turn into 10,000, and everyone will notice. And then it'll be in the hundreds of thousands. And I'm telling you, that's the way it will work. I know it will.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
Patricia, why don't you think more people have woken up though? Why don't you think like a wave of us woke up?
Closet. Get in the closet.
I think there's people waking up now just like we woke up. I remember watching videos, and it took me several months before I even got the guts to even start a channel. Quite a long time where I was consuming flat earth material and thinking and learning and growing and changing. But I didn't do anything with it. And then little by little, I started like tweeting little things and sharing videos and kind of just like almost like throwing something into the ring and then running away to see like what people would do. And then some people were angry and some people were interested. And then I got stronger in my beliefs, or it's not beliefs really, stronger in my knowing, and started sharing more and more. And then I said, well, you can't just sit by and do nothing for this. This is happening in your lifetime. You're able-bodied. You can help. You can do. What can you do? Do something. And so I did. But I think there's people that are like me and all of us right now who are just stumbling upon their first video this very second. And we because we've been in it so long. I mean, I don't know, for me 2+ years. It seems like, well, how come it's not worldwide now? I mean, why is it so slow? But it's not like that. It is growing. It's just not. we're the ones already sort of knowing, and we're waiting for others to wake up. But we can't monitor everybody all across the plane and what's going on in their minds.
I wonder
Yeah, we
also
don't get
how
TV
many
time.
flat earthers began with Flat Earth Wake Up and actually had already a wake up with 9/11.
Yes.
It is. Yeah, it's a deeper awakening. Yeah, it's true. That it starts a lot of people off, and they're almost there.
But the system puts you back to sleep if you don't really, just like a very soft alarm clock.
Yeah,
you wake up and then you'll go back to sleep.
Kind of anonymous occupy period after that.
Yeah, you have to wake up and stay woke, as they say.
Mike, what was it for you that made you realise then? Because we haven't asked. We usually ask people. Because I've asked Patricia, I've asked Martin,
Interesting.
I've asked Gary.
Well,
Mike.
you know what Patricia said, starting when I was a child, that intuitive feeling that, you know, when I was a kid, I'm jumping up in the air and I'm thinking the Earth's supposed to kind of like, you know, carry me a little farther. But for my wife, she couldn't figure out how the water stuck on that ball. She had a hard time visualizing how's that work, you know. So I think it really starts that as children we know, and as you get older you get indoctrinated. So you know, my first thing, you know, I'm a scripture guy, and I was listening to some Christian mention about the Earth being flat, and I thought he was crazy. And so I went and grabbed my Bible and started reading scriptures. I'm like, wait a minute. So wait a minute. What's God saying here about this? You know, because I read scriptures in a way that, you know, with the idea that it, you know, checking it out, it's flat. And then I realized it was flat, and I said, this is not right. And so I typed in Christopher Columbus flat Earth, because that's what we learned at school. And, you know, because I didn't think anybody on Google would be talking about this or anything. And the whole Google thing just pulls up, and the first thing I ran into was Mark Sargent's Flat Earth Clues, and that was a couple years ago, and so it, you know, that's where it's been. Now we're at a stage. Now we're looking at how it works, and NASA's got some really cool weaponry toys they're playing with, and you know, so we kind of moved on. There was no moon blocking the sun, you know, the light of the sun. So we're learning a lot of things about how it works. But I know in the beginning, you know, Patricia, when she first got on my channel and she encouraged me, you know, it was almost 2 years ago. I was like, yeah, Patricia's on here. And then, you know, it just kind of, you know, just kept going and kept learning and kept researching.
In the chat, Carolyn Gutman Day, talking about why haven't people woke up as fast as we wish, has a really good comment. She writes, it has already happened, I think. If you think of time as not linear, Carolyn says she likes to say, we didn't come here to lose this. We aren't that stupid. We know we will win this.
Yeah.
So. Exactly.
Well, I feel eventually, Sirius made a comment. I think they're going to give us the flat Earth eventually. We have the technology. We have the optical range. I think they're going to have to come clean. I think what they were really after is that electromagnetic field and the power and what's behind how Earth works. I really think they're going to give us the flat Earth eventually and come clean. We already have a bill in the House right now that'll effectively do away with satellites and the need for orbital systems. So I think that
they weren't there in the first place, though, were they, Mike?
Right. But Sirius made a comment of several hangouts ago to this reasoning. I think they're really protecting what's in Antarctica and the power that surrounds us and the free energy that is available. And I think they're eventually just going to hand us flat Earth and come out with, because they already come out with flat space. I don't know if you've seen that, Patricia. They've already admitted that space is now flat. Well, you know, eventually the Earth can be just as flat too. But
well, before the eclipse, they were actually saying they don't really know how far away the sun is. After all that, after all those, oh my goodness.
Well,
changing a little bit, aren't they?
Yeah,
Not enough.
We got the sun underneath the clouds, Karen, and I got the moon sitting right on top of the cloud layer, 37. It's a projection. It's a magnetic projection, and that's what we see. That's the sun and moon.
Yeah. That's what it is. I know it may be hard for some people to understand that, but that's what it is.
Seems like there might be something like fake alien invasion we've all talked about. Many people who come from a perspective of God are saying that there is going to be a return of the creator, and maybe some people believe there's a rapture. I mean, there's so many different ways people are saying that this is going to ramp up and end. Maybe, though, it's just going to keep the flat earth thing and all the truth. It's going to keep growing and growing till one day the balance shifts, and it'll be like, well, yeah, that's just what we've always believed. Because they're changing things now.
We had someone on last night who's in Sun and Moon. His name is Aaron, and he's proposing a new project, because basically it's a bit like we've almost got to turn our backs on that we are. We've got to find another way for money, because we've been so lied to. An alternative way to go and look things up. Anyway, he's coming back next Thursday to talk about his plans again, because he wants, well, don't we all want NASA? They need to, well, I know we're doing this on a live broadcast, but they need to be taken to court.
Yes. Yes. I just don't see that ever being a possibility, because the power behind them is too great. The power behind them is the power of the government, you know?
Yeah. They have unlimited
It's
funds.
most of the countries, isn't it? Any country with HARP. Any country that's got HARP is in on this.
They're all on it.
Just mentioned about.
Yeah.
Can I just add about the funds that I actually worked out earlier? It's $620 a second, and even though to some people that may not sound like a lot, that's 36,000 per. When you work out their budget, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Wow.
Need all that money for the wars, for their games, for their technology against us. They need that money for all those things.
Yeah, and as everyone was,
Terrorist group cells.
yeah, the crisis actors, as was mentioned earlier today, chemtrails, as was mentioned, all of it, all of the brainwashing that's being done in schools.
All the black projects. God knows how many of them are going. Yeah.
Exactly. They're certainly not using it to stop drought in drought-prone areas and to make human life better. I mean, we should have absolutely no poverty, absolutely no hunger, absolutely no thirst. But we don't.
People should, why you said the whole drought thing when you brought that up, I would recommend people research what's called primary water. It's unlimited water, unlimited fresh water generation. It can solve drought anywhere. I'm not going to go into the big details of it, but next time you're online, Google primary water. I think the Libyan king brought water to the Libya by using that technology, and some people are actually complaining or conspiring that that's why he was killed, for using that technology and bringing that technology to the world. Which isn't technology really, but it's just another knowledge. We're under the impression that water is scarce, so we'll pay for it right now. But if everyone knew that there's unlimited free water, that shifts things a little bit.
Yeah, that's very, very good point. That's Gaddafi and the Great River, I think. But I only heard about that from DITRH on his channel a couple of years ago now. I didn't know anything about it. I was under the brainwashing that Gaddafi was a bad man. So
yeah, that's what I was told also.
People loved him.
We were all told that, weren't we?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not saying that's why he was killed, but
it's just caught in the game, aren't we?
Yeah, why would they even destroy their aquifer anyway? Whether it was feeding all them people in Tripoli and the rest. You think they'd keep it going for civilians, wouldn't you? But no, boom, 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 bomb it. So nobody sees the technology. Quite right. Yeah, I think it was a reality. I think it was something to do with. But I keep thinking that he must have been somewhere along the line a CIA operative, because I think they all are these world leaders. I think no matter if you're Yasser Arafat or the other side, they're all behind the scenes when they're all back in the office, all talking to one another. I think this just the world's a stage. We know nothing because basically they treat us like peasants. I think there's a deeper thing going on. It's a big boys club. I think it's always been going on. The wars scream it, don't they? So I don't think they sides as such per se. It's a game.
The cremation of care every year in Bohemian Grove says enough. See
Things
the parties.
changed in Bohemian Grove, mate. Things have gone a bit weird since Bohemian Grove. I don't know what they discussed this time round, but they definitely discussed the internet, because look, everything's changed. Look at the way YouTube looks now in the last week. Anyone noticed its sporadic change? Anyone noticed the absence of loads of misinformation you automatically get when you're a YouTuber? They've sort of dissipated too. They sorted it out. Something weird's going on with YouTube. Anyone noticed? Well, I have.
Yeah, I know they've demonetized a lot of people's channels, a lot of topics. They'll pull videos, and it's not anything mysterious. It's basically just topics they don't want talked about. And on another note, I have to go, Karen and group. I have to have a Skype conversation with Mark Sargent about the U.S. Flat Earth Conference, and we're going to talk about that right now, and also talk to Robbie D, or schedule talking to Robbie D. So Gary, I haven't forgotten. I will pass your message along to Robbie D. So thank you everyone for having me.
Patricia. I'm just coming back for a flat Earth hug, but my camera hasn't come on yet. That's it. I'm coming back.
I'm sending all of you
my bandwidth.
Thank you for having me. There you are. Thank you for having me.
It's a real pleasure, Patricia. Patricia,
if you want me, I will definitely be here. It's been really a pleasure. I know that some of the things that many of you are speaking of are things I'm not aware of, but if that's what's good about this, when you're talking about all of this magnetism, especially, it's stuff I need to know. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Patricia. Big flat Earth hug from all of us.
Nice to chat with you, Patricia.
Yeah.
Talk to everyone later. Bye.
Bye, Patricia.
Bye, Patricia. Bye, Mike. Bye, Series. Bye, Gary.
Bye. Bye. Take care.
Ooh. Who wants to say something next then?
I've never played with magnets.
Has anyone on the panel got any thoughts about, like we're talking about fluoride and like water and things like that?
Yes.
If you careful what you drink, and you got chemtrails, you got acid rain, but basically, yeast has been affected or washed in fluorinated water, or it's actually being contaminated with like the chemtrails or whatever. So it's nice that we're actually trying to do our little bit, but it's so severe that I just wonder what everyone thinks.
I've known it all along. Well, that was standard. Yeah, even the food cooked in fluoridated water. You got the aspartame turns into formaldehyde in your body quickly too, not slowly. There's so much they're doing to us, but that's a biggie. Yeah, there's no escaping it unless you take your water to a restaurant.
I think the biggest trick is let us believe that we die, that we actually manifest the idea that we die.
Yeah, that's one as well. That's a scam. There's something going on with that.
It works. Mostly it works.
To the ground.
People don't realize that it works through their belief. But if you are conscious of it, if you ask me, really conscious of it, you will never get sick anymore. And so far, I haven't been sick since I realized what placebo actually is.
I have been sick in about 20 years.
Your body is the healer. No matter what medicine you take, if you take the medicine, what actually heals your body.
100%, brother. Wow.
Actually, that's how a lot of shamanism works like that, on that same way, where as long as the person going to the shaman believes in the power of that shaman.
Yeah, I do shamanistic practices. I've been doing it for years. As in, the DMT, the 420 kilohertz, it's not a little Buddhist paradise here, but yeah, I've been doing shamanic practices. And years ago, when I was young and we were in the days of psychedelic experimentation, I would be the person who would be the sort of the leader of the experience. When somebody runs the trip, and yeah, so that would be my posting because I was rather experienced at this sort of thing. Yeah, that was a lifetime ago. But you're right. Once you get the hang of your body frequency, you don't get ill no more. You just know how to heal yourself. And I heal quick too if I damage myself. I knocked myself clean unconscious 2 days ago. See how my head was like a neck. No, my mother dropped the remote control. I leant down to pick it up and I smacked my head on the corner of the door. Full force. I seen a white flashlight hit the floor. I was out. Unconscious. I came round about 20-30 seconds later. My mother's standing over me, hysterics, laughing. You know, on a laughing fit. What's funny? You know, I just knocked myself out. She said it was the way your legs buckled and you hit the floor. So I can see that. That's probably what's comical. I healed quick. Killed a few dozen brain cells, but what the hell?
Nothing.
I was sitting there wondering what karma slap. What have I done wrong now to get that karma slap? And I was like rifling through my brain to see where I'd gone wrong. You got a karma slap.
Martin, you were talking.
Influences us.
Martin, you've been doing a bit of homework at the moment, haven't you? Sorry, Thomas, I interrupted you.
I'm into all sorts, Karen, at the moment. But yeah, I'm going to concentrate on these two for the time being. I'm working on a couple of people on a bit of something, but it will be eventually some sort of disclosure. I just have a guts full of academia, and it stinks, and I can prove it. And I have shifted the clock. I always had that niggling away, apart from the heliocentric bullshit niggling away. There was something niggling away, but the timeline, I couldn't work it out. This ADBC thing, and how did this happen, and when did it start, and what? Why did it start a year 4? What? They set it like, and we've all kept on that time since 4 years after Jesus died. Is it really? You know. So I had real questions with it, and then I find out about the calendars that have been introduced and the switches and the times, and I got the hang of it, and it all collapsed to one point for me. And now I got to try and prove it, which I am. But I'm going to get on site and also prove the megalithic era is bullshit, and I'll prove a lot more besides. This is a massive hoax to humanity about our history of who we are. There's something bigger and better than they're telling us going on. They are petrified in case we find out of who we truly are. And this whoever they were that just went before us, this civilization, this high technology and this high vibrational thing, that's what they don't want back, because then they lose their control, you see, and their darkness and their energy. They're not going to have no place in this plane to do any of that. And they're not going to want to do that. So, you know, it's this eternal battle of good and evil in the background that's been going on forever, because eternity, as you know, is devoid of time, and it's very, very close by, just out of a vibrational sync. You know, you won't be able to. They can see us, I believe, but we can't perceive.
I think what they're doing is they're trying to make sure that you're hooked onto all the pills and the doctors and all that. But
yes.
You know, like people are going, they're going to the doctor like, I'm dying, and they've got a cold, and then they get antibiotics. You've got to stay off all these things. You've got to let your body heal.
That's what I'm talking about. Concrete under the freaking megalith. I seen that with my own eyes this week. I took photographs
a lot of
these
things. I'm not saying everything, because, you know, like I had a gallstone problem a few years ago.
My other magnetism removed.
You need those removed. But I mean, generally, there's so many things that you just don't need to go to the doctor for, and everybody's going there, and like you can't even get an appointment to the doctor now because they're just shoveling out pills upon pills upon pills.
What they should say is, well, go for a walk in the country, take your shoes off, step on the grass, get grounded, throw a couple of stones in the river, take your dog with you. You know, they don't tell you that. They tell you have some Prozac. Because if they tell you to go to the park and chill out, they're not going to be able to prop up Big Pharma with this loads of money for the St. John's Walk.
Yes, I know what you mean. What you should do is you should go to the park, take your shoes off and put your feet on the ground. That'd be far better for you than all the pills. You need the negative ions.
All that depression would be gone. I can guarantee that. So it's all just them anyway, and people just this conditioning, and I don't blame them one bit. I've been subject to exactly the same thing. You know, on a bus, depressed, you know, soaking wet day, stinking cold, on the way to a stinking job. That British lifestyle, worried about, oh my God, I can't pay my poll tax. Oh my God, what am I going to do at the end of the month? And living in that lifestyle for like decades, we all did. And every single bit, bullshit, all of it. But how did I know? I wanted to know, was I?
Sorry, Thomas, what have you got up as a picture? Just asking. Just saw your picture flip up then. What's that you're looking at?
Excellent.
That there, because we were talking about history for a second. We know that most of our history is a lie. This is a picture I was researching on because I was looking up fake replicas, you know, fake archaeological sites. And I came across this picture here. This is Stonehenge.
Yeah, man, I've seen it.
Now, and see, that's the thing.
If you stick a trowel in, you hit a concrete footing. It's not even far under the grass. It's all
yeah,
oh my
it's
goodness.
fake. Yeah, that's straight fake.
Straight fake, mate. Not only that, my friend Nick Funk It Word, yesterday came here. He went to do some of this work for like our project, and he went to Aylesbury, a famous stone circle. It's famous, and Sidbury Hill. Karen mentions all the time. He went there too, and there was drilled holes in a line on every single stone with rebarb holes. And also exactly the same, cracking away layering of mudstone on some petrified timber and other this old style of concrete technology with some sort of retardant in it that we've lost the technology for, or they're hiding, because this is all a fake. Not all of it, but some of it.
Can I just say one thing on those stones though? I have seen that in those stones there are 3 layers, which when they get their little rods out, stones, you don't think on that bit they were actually testing what was in the stones.
I think they are scared of what they really are because of the harmonic resonances of what's happening in the crystalline structure of the stones affects us. Because when you go to Stonehenge, even though they're potentially a fake and knocked up in the, you know, that one in 2002 and 1952, and the one in before the First World War, and further back, because in, you know, when Constable painted them in 1770 something, they were all on the floor, and these capstones, the sarsen stones, are supposed to come from the Preseli Mountains in Wales here, and supposed to be carried 240 miles to Salisbury Plain to be put on top of these. Bullshit, because they try to replicate. So that gives you so they like to muddy the waters, but I believe that gives credence to the heliocentric model as well, by the way. So I believe that all of this is just part of the muddy in the water. I think it's part of this hidden civilization, because there's megaliths and there's, you know, you can't ignore pieces like Angkor Wat, can you? You can't ignore places like, well, you know, there's so many structures on Earth you can't ignore, but that one is shit. It really is. That one there with the concrete there, you can just dig down, get your gardening trowel, dig it in, and you hit concrete footing just below that, and they're all like it. Really bad.
Yeah, there's a good image right there.
So it works on a placebo effect, because Nick yesterday took film in Aylesbury, and there was a group of people, and they're standing in the stones, all hands in hand, and they're going, oh, and he's like thinking to himself, well, they don't even know what they're worshipping, or what they're actually doing. That might even be dangerous. They might be summoning something up there. They don't actually know, do they? So they're mising, aren't they? Or they might be doing actually nothing at all. Now, I can say, when you're on them stones in Glastonbury, in, you know, that time of summer solstice, around the end of June, and you're in them stones, it feels electric. Everybody's crying. So there's something happening there, isn't there? Plus, they swear there's all a ley line.
It might be the ley lines, Martin. It's the ley lines.
It is, you know. The pyramid.
Yeah, that seems more reasonable.
Yeah, they swear, and they're mapped as well, you know. The druid, head druid, he's got it mapped. But this, where the Glastonbury tour is, and then you go further down to where they put this pyramid stage for Glastonbury Festival, is the nodal point. And you can see all these ley lines crossing right there, and they put a stage bang on it. And they make out, because of that, bands will sound better than they ever did before. And it just so happens that they do. It happens in that stage. But there's something about it. I think it could be the ley lines. I once asked the professor.
So when you look at that picture that Thompson's just put up, it makes me feel stupid to think that I believe Stonehenge.
I know, I had questions with it back then because of the distance of the Sarsen stones from Preseli Mountains. I know the distance, and I was aware that they tried to do it a load of students in the 1980s on barges across the Bristol Channel. They put a stone, which was a minute stone compared to these, and it just went boom and sunk. So they couldn't have took it overland. They didn't put it on logs and roll them. They didn't join mines to levitate it, although they'd like to think this sort of thing. There's a lot of muddy in the you know when you go
I was told about that. Yeah.
They go into the visitor centre there, and when you walk through the doors, they got pictures of cavemen on the wall with like bats, you know, the ones that hit them wives over their heads and drag them in the cave. Them ones, Captain Caveman, they say built these. So there's even a contradiction in terms to mess your heads up when you arrive. You know, a concerning child would be, well, how come they? So they're always muddying the waters with the history. There's hiding of this civilization, and you just hit the nail on it. The bombing campaign of World War II, Bomber Harris's campaign of Germany, was not about killing population, because a lot of the targets was no military significance, and they were wiping out edifices of architecture. Dresden, look into Dresden. It's mind-blowing. It's like the St. Petersburg times 10. And they wiped it out of the face of the earth. Yes, St. Petersburg. Oh, no, we won't move in there. We'll siege the city, and we won't bother taking it over the top. We'll bombard it for 875 days, day and night, and still could bomb it. But miraculously, all of the Winter Palace and the Hermitage and all of its 56 palaces will be unharmed and untouched. So Hitler done a deal with, while World War II's raging on the Eastern Front, with Stalin. It would seem so, yes. There's so many inconsistencies with the whole paradigm, and when you start thinking about it, it's like, whoa, it's all a lie. Everything is. And World War II's a key, because we were getting out there and experimenting and probing the edges, trying to find out what was going on. And then World War II, World War I come along, all exploration worldwide was ceased. Did you know that? And then he started it up in between the wars with Admiral Byrd coming up through 1945, as you know. And what did Admiral Byrd meant when he said the Earth is shrinking at an alarming rate? I don't know. He did say that, didn't he? He didn't say that on that kind of scope interview, because he did. Just thought, what did he mean by that? It just sprang to my mind, that's all. But all it's a lie, and that is why would they leave that there with a concrete show in there? Why do you think the psychology of that? When they could,
it's really stupid, isn't it? That if there, Thomas could see it. How come we didn't see it?
They want to mess with your head, and they want you to work it out. So it's a game. It's a game with these people. It's always stupid light.
People have seen it now, though. It's not like they can go in and repair it without being under public eye. Now it's
look.
I don't think this is quite the same, by the way, because this is a film called The Saw, if anybody's seen that. But you know that they're always trying to get out and get somewhere and get this, and it's like we're in a film.
Yeah. Did you see Stonehenge? I seen that. I know. Did you see Stonehenge in the news this week? They've degraded it. It's no longer a World Heritage Site because they're putting a tunnel underneath it. Now, why would they do that? A tunnel they don't even need. They're moving the road from beside it because it's an eyesore, putting it under it to get it degraded to no longer a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Isn't that weird?
That is odd. Yes, it is.
This week, I was like, Yeah, I've seen that. That's amazing.
So what's your guys' take on the giant tree thing? Have you looked into that?
Yeah,
yeah. That's where we are. What we know. Huge electromagnetic strikes after probably the flood, as an alien sky from the Thunderbolt project of electric universe series. We explained that the particular history of these strikes, and we found several photographic material on Google Maps itself, what actually shows the principle of it.
Oh yeah, there's loads of Siberia, loads of examples in Siberia of that arcing going on. I believe it's a reality. I believe the Thunderbolt project and this massive electrical discharge does collect, and it does arc out. Imagine a giant Thunderbolt times 1 trillion. And I think that's what
even these missiles
bases
are as all experiments repeated with the Thunderbolt projects already, to actually get these types of landscapes.
You see that sort of, well, if you've done any wilding.
Basically, the electrical arcings which hit us created a lot of these great big stumps. It was actually they're not trees, they're from electrical strikes which have hit us
Much more feasible. If they weren't trees, Karen, because that would have been 60 miles up, and that would be impossible.
The magnetic nature of our realm, it only supports it so far.
Yeah.
Even what is it? That huge thing in America. I forget the name of it.
Tower. Devil's Tower.
No, with that river.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Grand Canyon. Yeah, man. Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon.
For sure.
Probably also.
Well, they try and paint
also,
the electric universe, say Mars, don't they? Vallenaris, the biggest canyon in the solar system, they tried to say is the same from electric universe theory, Thunderbolts theory. I think there's a, take the universe out to that on a flat plane. It's about the closest thing we're going to get to it, I think, with the the electromagnetics and retro universe theory. I think is they're getting closer. I've been following it for about 6 years now, and now it seems like they're getting somewhere, doesn't it? If you're following it.
It's pretty obvious why they are banned in the public domain, huh?
Yeah, for sure. I feel that. It's quite exciting. And if you get on Google Earth, you'll find examples everywhere. Honestly, it's quite easy to find them. If you know what you're looking for.
The biggest one I found was that one in Africa with about 600 miles diameter.
Yeah.
It's just an electric strike.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few hundred miles forward, you have the other part of the strike, the negative and the positive.
You'll always have that.
The
That's
negative
what you look for, yeah.
You actually see, very obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And the positive is now mined from iron.
You'll have me looking now, like no, I won't be. I have spent hours looking at them. So I have.
You pull energy out of the earth by connecting these potentials.
Yes.
And use the spark for your own circuit.
We got a gash in the earth here in the Avon in Somerset in England, and there's no river that goes through it. It's a canyon, but they say it's from a fault line, an ancient one, tectonic movement. We know that's bullshit, and basically they're not prone to earthquakes in this part of the world, so there's no evidence for that. So it's perfect evidence for this electrical arcing. I don't think it's a giant leap in imagination, and there's evidence for it in literature. It's in Homer's Iliad. Did you know that about this hypothesis of electrical discharging? Oh yeah, it said it rained petrol in the sky as well. It touches upon it in a few old texts in the classics as well. There's evidence to it on Asian megaliths. They found Gobekli Tepe. They expanded it recently, and they found a new stone which shows thunderbolts coming out of the sky and things dying. So there's evidence to a cataclysm which looks like it's an electric thunderbolt cataclysm in the recent past, because they date it as 12,000 years old. I don't. I think that's shit. And you can't date stone anyway. Carbon dating or any history dating is bogus all. So I think, I don't know, in two minds about Gobekli Tepe because of its positioning, the way it was found, and the farmer finding it sticking up out of the ground, and they managed to get a photograph of that and put it all over Google. When they actually found the tiny little bit sticking up out of the ground to find this massive thing that covers so many square miles. It just seems a giant leap in imagination. So I think it might be a bit of a setup, that as well. And it's like that boat, the Noah's Ark. That's 12 miles away from Gobekli Tepe, guys. So they say they're connected. That Noah's Ark on the side of Mount Ararat, you ever seen it, guys? Built in stone. Looks like it's actually the Ark, and it's the same dimensions of the Ark in the Bible as well, believe it or not. In as many, whatever the Roman measurement was, hectares or whatever. But yeah, it's really intriguing. I think there's good evidence I've searched for in our culture.
Artist has just put something through, and it is maybe he can show it on Sunday. Artist in the chat room somewhere, and he says photographs show Stonehenge was built 100 years ago. Whoops.
Yep, indeed. I'll go with that.
Oh dear.
Well, first of all, Wally started it to start the first phase, but I got a painting from Constable. But he was a definite artist, but we weren't there. This painting could have been painted by somebody in the early 1800s and told that it was one of Constable's by using his style. It could not have easily happened. So you can't trust these people. Look, the 1800s, once you get this into your mind, the whole world is corrupt, and they like slaving people and doing all dirty shit like that. So in the 1800s, it was much worse, and it was the age of hoax. You've looked into the dinosaur bones wars, you know, the dinosaur hoax, the museum hoaxes, why they built the Natural History Museum in London in the first place, to fill it up with bullshit for Prince Albert. They went looking for bullshit to fill it with. Darwin was part of that bullshit to fill the Natural History Museum. They sent him on the Beagle, go and look at the Galapagos, try and find 2 ducks that look different, come back and fill the world full of bullshit and change the whole of the paradigm of reality. We already got the plan here. We want you to piss off and go and get it, though. Did you know that? So our whole paradigm is built on bullshit and lies. People are that far too trusting, as far as I can see. And the telly, once they got that in the room, 1950s, it was all sorted, guys. It was sorted because they knew the power of suggestion and, you know, neuro-linguistic programming and power of placebo, and they used it to great effect, subliminals, residuals, and everything else that people don't understand.
Could I just say something? I think that Mike has to go. Mike, can you
go anyway? I have. It's 1 o'clock and my mother's in there and I keep her awake all night and I shares the same house as her, so I gotta go and sort my count anyway because I made 5 videos today. I'm sure I got 1 or 2 comments by now. Mike
says he's got to run for dinner.
What a role I am, Karen, with this history. And I'm working with a couple of people and we're actually getting out. Like, you know, Nick's going out to Standing Stones. I'm getting out to a medieval burial site. I just went and got checked out at the National Museum for taking photographs of dinosaur bones and eggs. I chucked a dozen eggs away last week, Karen, because they were 3 days out of date and they went a bit funny, right? So they're trying to get humanity to believe that these eggs, they're 150 million years old. God, buy it. And when they had them behind the counter, and I'm there with the camera, and she's watching me. It's all on film. They sent 5 of them to kick me out, threaten me with the police, taking photographs of their dinosaur bullshit. And I'm not joking. They're on my channel. Busted them. Not very happy about that, actually. But yeah, I'll go busting history. Get out there and do it real time. That's all I can do at the moment. Why?
Martin, 1 minute, because I think that Mike wants to go. But Mike, so what's your game plan now? Then tell us what you're doing then.
Well, you know, listening to Martin and the others, you know, everything's electromagnetic. Even some of our surface features on Earth were caused by these electromagnetic occurrences. Same with the face of the moon, supposedly that was formed by the electromagnetism. And you know, and what everybody here is talking about is the key. It's the key to finding out what Earth does. You know, and hopefully maybe we can get a flight over the North or South Pole. That'd be great. But what I'm going to be working on now is NASA has launched a large-scale wave. We have to remember, though, it's just not the United States. There's 30 countries that were stationed in McMurdo that represent, they have an interest in this. So I just think, you know, we have certain world governments, one big government's not the United States, UK, Russia, Japan, China, United States is one government actually, keeping everybody under their thumb, so to speak, with the false pretense of particle physics, which nobody can figure out. These little countries are trying to build them a nuclear weapon, but they have the wrong science to do it, and they can't build one, but we still use that and claim they're building it so we can march in the country and do whatever they want. These governments have control of everything, and even our history, which Martin was talking about, and the dinosaurs, which are fake. The whole thing is a mess. But so right now I'm going to probably be trying to get in contact, working with Chris Monk and a few others, and try to figure out just exactly what NASA can do. Because if they can do what we suspect and what we saw, that large-scale zero-point energy wave arc across from Antarctica, if they can do what we think they can do, then all the other weapon systems become obsolete. We are certainly living in a scary time where we need to keep getting out the information and making people aware.
So we've got to be on point, brother, and warn them every corner. Mike, doing a brilliant job of doing it as well. We've got to make them aware, because if we don't, who else is? Let's be honest. Who else is?
Exactly.
So, anyway,
we're all
lovely to meet you, Mike, at last.
With each other, and
I try to meet you anyway, instead of what I usually do.
And trying to help each other and trying to move this along a bit, aren't we? We're all in this together, aren't we?
Yeah, that's my main thing in this, is helping other people out. That's what I do all day long, is just muck in, work together, come up with plans, try and be strategic or whatever, just to drive it forward, come up with new plans. And yeah, it's all coming along nicely, I think. And I think it is more than people actually awake than we think, guys. I really do. I really do. I think it's just people in the closet. You know, the whole world's online, guys. And who haven't heard of the flat earthers right now? Think about it.
It's a bit strange that people haven't actually come across flat Earth somewhere along the way and not thought about it.
I went into a toilet at a service station the other day when I went on the way to Len, and I had my cap on, my flat Earth cap. There was a gang of schoolboys. They walked past me. They said, "Oh, look, it's a flat earther." So they know. People know it's flat earthers. So people know. I think it's out in the main, in the consciousness, whether or not they're looking at it. I think they know we're here. So I think that part has happened. We've arrived, if that makes any sense. It's taken 2 years of hard toil to arrive. That makes sense.
Teeth into that bit that FPV showed, haven't you, Mike? With that big wave going across.
Yeah, FPV, amazing capture on his part, and explains the documents that I put linked in my channel and what Chris and it tells us how they power it, because they don't tell you how they power the thing. They just tell you the principle of it. But there you go.
Up the water, yeah, they heated up the water. So what happened to all the animals while they heated up the water?
Well, first of all, if you have a flock of birds flying, it's going to immediately stop their hearts, because everybody's heart's on an electric biorhythm, and so that's why you get reports of animals falling out of the sky. You're going to magnetically confuse our animals. They're going to run off cliffs. They're going to swim to warm waters inshore where there's less oxygen and suffocate and wash up on shore. You're going to have herds of cattle walking off cliffs. And
is that why these whales are washing up in beaches, and they're losing their tracking? They're going up into shallow waters, washing up in beaches in the North Sea in Britain. Yeah, never happened before, in numbers as well. And it's happening in New Zealand. And
right, and that's because they're confused on the direction they're supposed to go.
They're losing navigation thing going on.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
people in the chat room didn't see it. We had a hangout with Mike the other day. He was there, and then he found this information, didn't he, where we could see this great big wave going from like Antarctica to Greenland right across.
That's a scalar circular wave, because the wave goes up and then it flips around our magnetic field, just like the scalar wave is supposed to do, and it's pretty impressive. But they're tapping into something in Antarctica. When you saw the magnetics earlier with Ceres and the other map, there's all this power right there, and they can tap into that. We got power above us we can tap into that doesn't have to power Doomsday's machine, but they can certainly let us watch TV and use our computers. So,
well, there's free energy in the ground, isn't there? In the ground, it's in the sky, it's in the water,
in our bodies.
They're tapping into the ether. There is a connection. There's something there. They're tapping into what's surrounding them.
My mother's giving me grief here. Peace and love, guys. Nice to meet you, Mike. I'll see you soon anyway.
Kiss. The guys. I'm wishing that off.
I should have done that, actually. That was a bad move from my guy. Don't worry, though. Love, guys.
Okay, Karen, I'm going as well.
We love you.
Thanks, Karen.
Love you, Martin.
Siri, peace and love. My mother's shouting to that. I don't know whether you can hear her.
Bye, Martin's mum.
Saying to that, Mum.
I'm going to, Karen.
All right, check out.
So we've got a mass exodus now on the panel.
Okay.
Everybody's going. Bye, Martin. Bye, Gary. Love you lots. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me on. Bye.
Bye, Martin.
Bye, Gary. Love you. Bye, Gary.
Already gone.
Gary's going. Thomas.
Thomas still here.
Yeah, Thomas also said that he had to go soon. Mike, just you and Ceres, do you want to talk for a few minutes?
Yeah, we could probably solve world hunger together if we talk too long, because Ceres is on cutting edge, tracking the magnetic field, getting all that data from Google. And we're tracking what they're doing with their weapons, and we didn't realize they had something like this. It was only a theory. Tesla propagated way back the scalar wave, this unlimited energy, but they're able to get into this, and I think we've seen proof of that already. And when that wave shot, if he explained it, that was on the 14th of August. That pulled all the water away from the shores of South America. When that Arctic crosser, and what it is just electrifying the water, condensing it, and the water just pulls in from the shores. And so I'm hoping maybe Ceres will get an idea how they're connecting this, or maybe Chris will, how they're able to send this massive energy across the Earth. And I might add for you ball earthers,
it's such a big area. We're not just talking of 10, 20 miles. We're talking thousands of miles.
Covered all South America. I mean, yeah, it just arced all the way across. It's really impressive. The Earth can't be a ball for that to work. So
If you have two pillars in the south, wouldn't they actually be that smart to actually tap into the circuit between the two pillars? That's a huge power surge, which you can have between.
Oh, wouldn't they need to be connected to the North Pole somehow? That's my thing. Everything has to be a positive and negative. They shot from the negative side, so that's.
Well, yeah, the two pillars are positive, negative. It's a minus, minus, and a minus plus. So there is a potential. I'm just not sure how that probably works out, because, like in the what Ken Wheeler describes as you have the force and motion for the coherent side of magnetism, you have inertia and acceleration for the incoherent gravity side. That's the part of where you have probably the 4 pillars from, because these are the 4 forces as a potential, within the toroidal field.
Is it possible? Playing with. Is it possible, Ceres, that maybe you keep going south, you end up north, and they got connection to both? Or I'm just guessing. I don't know.
That's what I think. That you can look at it as a donut field, in where you have the 4th dimension east-west, what is the small circle of the donut, and then the big circle of the donut is 5th dimensional one.
Right.
And then the 6th one, I think something what has to do with us as going in an upwards dimensional sense as a toroidal field. Because that's our body chakra system as a build-up in that sense.
Right. So there's more than one toroidal field. There are fields that operate different aspects of this whole thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then you can't take up till a certain level of dimension. It's taking all the dimensions what is within the toroidal fields. And if you take 3D as the cube with the 3 dimensions, and you take for every dimension also a one-directional toroidal field, in where you have the outwards flow and the inwards flow, and that over every axis, then you have actually an interference pattern of 3 toroidal fields in each other, where with your heart chakra as the inertial plane in the center of all the 3. It's also like you draw the fruit of life. That one is as actually the side axis visible as how the 3-dimensional actually is a combination of 3 bodies in a focal point in the middle.
Right. FPP just put up here. The first one was a directed, which makes sense to one of their documents. You can direct energy, massive amounts to power something or heat something up or get something moving. And he said the second one was something else, which is what we thought they were. And we believe they can use sound once they get all this energy pulled up or whatever they shot across there. They can use sound to somewhat through our magnetic field to steer its path. So then, yeah, and thank you, FPP, for putting that up there.
Can I just say something, Mike? Yeah. You saw that wave go across, right? If there was any animals in that, fish, whatever it was, they're all dead.
More than likely.
It's a fish.
More than likely. Yeah, more than likely. And they shot that off. FPT saying was August 14th, and I'm sure they did some more during the hurricane. So you know, Chris's viewpoint's a little different than mine. He's also looking at the earthquakes, which would be caused by plasma with lightning. You know, lightning could cause that. So he thinks it's money motivated. I think they were tracking the eclipse, trying to get set up for something, and maybe screwed something up. And we're trying to correct something. You know, so we got all these ideas. But one thing we do know for a fact, NASA has the capability to arc a high-intensity energy beam the size of South America across the Earth in a second. We do know that.
Yeah.
And that's what we know. That's what we know. What about all the stuff we don't know?
And it's guesswork and all the stuff we don't know. We know how it works a little bit because we have the patent documents. And we don't know if they were trying to help, because the documents also state they can steer hurricanes and help, but the documents also state that they can cause them and cause great devastation. So we don't know. And that's what we'd like to know. Maybe call NASA up here in a little bit and ask.
Hey, should we get NASA on a hangout?
Yeah, go invite them.
Lie. They'd only lie though, wouldn't they?
I don't know. It's kind of weird. When we contact NASA, they'll tell you.
Who can give the answer into the public.
It's probably classified to the people we get in touch with. So, but you know, you can call NASA. Some people straight up tell you the truth too. So, you know, Rob Simmons told us the truth. He's the you know, Marble Earth 2012 guy, the Photoshop guy, and he told us what we needed to know, what we wanted to know. So.
Sorry, Thomas is back now. Thomas, did you hear that? Like that arcing?
No, I just sat down. I'm sorry.
This arcing, we had a hangout with Mike the other day, and FPV showed us some information. It's on a hangout a few days ago with Mike Helmick. And right across. So basically, every like from to Greenland, right across, and it means thing that was in that is killed. Every animal, fish.
Wow, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, somebody link him to FPP's video. I've got his video. I downloaded his video. I haven't. I'm still reading the documents because I'm going to try to get a video myself on what he did.
Is there any way we can play that then? Can we play that little video then?
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, when I share the screen, though, I share it with everybody, and we get trolls in.
You could put it in the chat. Series will play it.
Okay,
go get it, Series.
We'll play it. Series is we always go to Series.
Right here.
Hey, we.
That's
what
right.
was that? Hearing myself again. Series.
It's not here.
Have you got?
I've got it up if you want to share my screen.
Oh, okay then. Go on then, but just do it on an application. Don't share the main screen.
Like, just...
Click,
right, I'm presenting you.
Click share screen.
Oh my gosh.
Click the application app. Oh, you see yourself.
Yeah, I see myself. Is that okay? Okay, right here.
Yeah.
This way. Cut across.
You're not sharing anything yet.
Oh, I got to push a button to do that?
To share, and then it will say application window, and you press that.
So I
And
go
then
to
the
chat.
application, double click, or just a single click and the OK button. But I'll share.
Oh, share screen. Okay, and I'm going to share.
You got it?
I get a mirror
Yeah.
effect.
That's it.
Entire screen again.
Window, Mike. Application window, not entire screen. That's it. Cool, he's done it. Whoa.
Oh, it's still. Whoa.
Okay, so
Not that.
this is an application.
Not,
The movie.
There you go.
it is an application, but you have a full share window. You have only when you open the screen share, you get a window with 2 tabs, and the first tab is that you share your full screen. But the second tab actually shows all the applications. And you need to click the second tab first, Then you get the application you want to share, and double-click the application.
Application window. Oh, there's an application
Yeah.
window tab in this.
Yeah.
How about that? I didn't know. I didn't know. Okay. I'm gonna play. Can anybody see this video?
Every day.
Yep.
Yeah, totally. I'm trying to save the world. I can't use Google.
I just learned how to do that today myself.
Yeah. Okay. So everybody see this here? This came from FPV. So thank you, FPV. This is a Doppler radar, and what we're going to see, what he's going to catch is this a large scale wave. Right there it is. This thing arced across.
What in the world? Wow.
And bam, arcs back, or maybe that's another wave, but I think it's arced back. It's a directional wave of some type to direct a lot of power.
Yeah.
And here we see the top FPV has it here, but this thing came from Antarctica, arced all the way across. It's pretty amazing. And the day this happened, the shores, the ocean here, all along here, kind of Pacific
And
here,
it's
kind of got
huge.
sucked away.
Whatever they did was
It's
huge.
massive.
And that was heating the water up, wasn't it, Mike? Trop, is that right?
We're not 100% sure, either power systems, but whatever this is, it can't be good, you know?
Is there any idea on location of the source of it?
Well, McMurdo would be over in this corner here if you can see my mouse cursor, so...
Okay, yeah, I see it now, yeah.
Well, now McMurdo would be off here from New Zealand, so they've tapped into something.
That is massive. I mean, you're talking thousands of miles there.
Yeah.
Yep, and they tapped into the outside stuff, so whatever's on the outside of our magnetic field, they found a way to get into this, and this is what Tesla talked about. And I think FPV, yeah, right here, and the sea disappeared suddenly. Oceans mysteriously recede from various beaches in Brazil, Uruguay, making people fear a tsunami is coming. It just sucked all the water out of here. Of course, what it did is it electrified or polarized this water, the salt water, and it formed a variable density into the water itself, which in turn sucked the beaches off these
Mike,
locations.
I've forgotten. What day was the actual eclipse? Was it the 21st of August?
It was the 21st.
Yeah.
So this is the 12th to 16th, and this is when this event occurred on the 12th. And when they shot this wave on the 12th, this event occurred here. And I'm not sure if this is a side effect. I don't think they're intending to cause this, but whatever they were doing, it caused a lot of people concern here. And it all comes from Antarctica, so it's all
I think it's
very
quite
interesting.
worrying, isn't it? It's quite worrying.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
we had
worrying.
a lot of world leaders going down there towards Antarctica. They had that Russian high priest guy, that religious leader from Russia. A lot of people went down there to Antarctica just within the last year when Obama was still president, and we heard about Obama going down to South America. So there might be something going on down there, or not South Antarctica, my fault. But yeah, I know we had a lot of world leaders going down there. I mean, who knows what's going on there? But that's some pretty massive technology. Anything that could do something like that.
How do I present to everybody? Share screens. How do I cancel this presentation here?
Yeah, you stop the share screen. Oh, the presenting is for Karen.
So maybe
It's for me. Well, because I
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
on the
Unpresent. I needed the comb, man. I got them guys left up.
Mike, you are a wrench in Sun and Moon, right? You're in the chat room, and wrenches can do a few things on the panel.
Okay, I've got it in.
But it's not presenting is not part of it.
Well, I got to run, guys, anyways. But this is what we're dealing with, and this is what is concerning us. because it changes a whole lot of things. You know, there's a lot of disinformation about North Korea nuclear weapons, and they got us all focused on these little weapons. I mean, if a weapon goes off in Chicago, it's going to blow up Chicago. The thing we're looking at here, and as Karen said, probably fried every sea critter along the way. What we're looking at here is Austin Powers' doomsday device. You know, it's.
Can I say one thing, Mike? If all the animals died, hundreds of animals being washed up on the beach, though, did we?
Well, I don't know I don't know what level they shot this, and I don't know what they used before. But birds definitely probably would not have survived whatever that was. And there's been reports of people watching strange things flash in the sky, and then flocks of birds just fall dead. And, you know, and they say, well, that's the end times, and that's this. Well, no, it's NASA screwing around with stuff.
They're playing. Yeah.
That's what it is. So that's what we're tracking, and hopefully we're going to find out some more about
it. They're live, aren't they? That's what they're doing.
Right. Yeah. What they say militarily, they have everything that we think is conventional. All of it's a lie. It's all just smoke and mirrors. I mean, when they got this kind of power, that's why they're probably not worried about any threats or anything. They wipe out anything with this.
Yeah.
You know, and this is not hard. This is something else.
They're slaves, because then they cannot even make their own breakfast.
Yeah, it's so we're gonna get it figured out, guys. I got to run, so you guys are blessed, favored, and we're gonna have
hug, Mike.
Have a nice day.
Guys. God bless you guys.
Thanks for coming on the hangout.
Oh, thank you for having me, Karen. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, we keep communicating, and yeah.
Bye, Siri.
We keep going.
Keep up the work, guys.
All of us, yeah. Thank you, Mike. Four of us left now. We have been going for nearly 3.5 hours. Do you think that we should call it a day, guys?
Yeah, I need to get going soon.
Well, Thomas Thompson, thank you also for you coming on, because we like having you on as well. So, Flat Earth Hugs, I think we're going to leave the hangout now, everybody. It's been a really great hangout. We'll all be back again. I'm back tomorrow afternoon with Robert Forsch. Talk about chemtrails and some stuff that he's been looking into. So that's 3 o'clock UK time tomorrow. But thank you from us. Thank you to everybody that's been on our panel today and who's left. So, hugs to everybody. Hugs to everybody in the chat room. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Love you all.
Okay, guys. I'll see you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Well, computer's playing around. But anyway, thanks again. See you tomorrow.